Hello, everyone, and welcome back to WOR here for here for the race at Tier 1. I'm joined alongside Chris Buxton. Chris, normally it's Dan and Ryan, but completely different lineup today here. Me and you. I think it'll be a great one. We've commentated before in the past, a
We
long
have.
time ago. A long, long time ago.
Was a little while ago, but I'm very much looking forward to rejoining you for this incredible race we have got at the one and only Spa Francorchamps, season 15, round number 6 here at the Ardennes Forest. Lucas Blakely and the one and only Jana Watmere leading the way, joint on points coming into this round. We're just waiting for all the drivers to get into lobby. What a lineup of drivers we have got. The amazing establishment being joined by those that haven't quite had a chance to build up the pedigree yet, but they're going to be giving it all they've got to show that they really can and they do belong in this tier.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a very strong grid as usual here in Tier 1. There's a few drivers not here due to obviously being at Spa and obviously last week being at Silverstone. So there's a few drivers missing. But so looking through, we've got the likes of Jano Otmir still here. People in the chat asking, yes, Jano is here. He has made it in time. We have got the likes of Lucas Blakely, who's obviously going to be fighting with Jano for the title their level on 68 points, of course, which is very close, isn't it? Considering these two are probably, I'd say, two of the quickest drivers that is in the F1 game. We've got the likes of Ishmael Fassi in the AlphaTauri. We've got Isam Pookie, Leroy Brown, Wilson Hughes. We've got Jed Norgrove, Otis Lawrence, of course, who had a penalty. I think it was 15 seconds after the last race, along with Alfie Butcher, who got a penalty in Mexico, but he isn't here today. I don't believe. So, yeah, if you didn't know, last race we had a pretty hectic final lap. Otis Lawrence did get a 15-second time penalty, and Alfie Butcher got a 10-second time penalty for their incident, so that's why they dropped down. It promoted many people up positions, and I believe Fabrizio Donoso got a podium after that one because of the position drops for Alfie and Otis, which is very nice for him indeed. And just looking,
Fourth. So he was just outside
fourth.
looking at the. He was on the podium in round 4 in Brazil,
Oh,
following home Lucas Blakely. But yeah, he was promoted up to fourth. Was Fabrizio as a reserve in this field. But this is what I love to see is the, like you say, the established names. You've got Yano, you've got Lucas, you've got Ishmael Farsi, Nicholas Longe, up against those that, like I say, haven't quite had a chance to build up that pedigree. Otis Lawrence, Philip Preschneider, Thomas Parajic, Audrey Buchan, these names that we all have recognized from various different areas of league racing all together in this amazing race at a very, very historic track. Now, what is the weather going to do? Well, the weather in Belgium is probably more unpredictable than it is here. So, if the weather has anything to do with it, if it's anything like what we've seen this weekend in the real life Spa-Francorchamps, this is going to be interesting.
yeah, definitely. And I did have a standings graphic originally, but unfortunately, wouldn't let me put it on the stream. So I'm very sorry about that. But yeah, it's going to be a great race. Belgium. We've got the 3 qualifying sessions, of course. 18 minutes Q1, the bottom 5 drop out, and then it's a 15-minute Q2, then the bottom 5 drop out, then a 12-minute Q3, and no one drops out because it's the top 10 shootout. Then obviously followed by the 22-lap race, which is a 50% race of the original normal F1 format. So we should get started very shortly. I think we're waiting for one more driver, which is an AlphaTauri. Which, if I'm gonna have a look at the phone quickly, because we didn't get a standings graphic. I mean, we didn't get a graphic for the grid, unfortunately, today, due to Luke being busy.
I suspect that is Tom Manley.
Tom Manley, yes.
Unless we have a reserve standing in for Tom this week. Not certain on that one.
No, it's Jed Norgrove, apparently. But he was in the lobby. He's left.
Ah, okay.
Oh. Well, that's something, I suppose.
So we can run through who we have got whilst waiting for the Aaron AlphaTauri to join us. So let's have a look at who is occupying what cars for this round number 6 here at World Online Racing. So in the Mercedes, it is Legend Rosenberg being joined by the GOAT himself, Jarno Opmeer. In the, who should we look at? Let's see, Alpine, why not? Luke Smith and Philip Preschneider. Aston Martin are occupied by the Welshman Otis Lawrence and America's PSR Schnitzer. In the Ferraris, Tomek Parajic has one of the prancing horses along with Nicolas Longuet, the Frenchman. In Red Bull, that's Declan Barrett and Leroy Brown. For Williams, we've got Ben Sabaconi, the Hungarian, being joined by Isran Pookie, his countryman. For McLaren, representing Scotland, Wilson Hughes. And in the second papaya, it is the current, well, I say championship leader, but certainly the championship co-leader. It is Lucas Blakely, the double F1 Esports champion himself. Haas, Jack West, is being joined by Iker Baena, the Spaniard. And we still have only got one AlphaTauri, which is, at the moment, it's Ismail Farsi. I think that's everybody. Have I missed Williams, Ben Sabaconi, and Yannick Schmidt? No, I said Ben Sabaconi was being joined by Isran Pookie. No, I beg your pardon. I've muddled two teams there. Williams is Ben Sabaconi and Yannick Schmidt. Alfa Romeo is Isran Pookie, and the second Alfa Romeo is Andre Tarabukin. I think that is everybody.
Yep. Jed has said that he's got issues with his PC. He'll join in quality. The PC's having a meltdown. He says he's going to have a restart. Then if he can't join after that, we will go. So hopefully,
lovely.
We get underway.
Technical troubles befalling us all. Yeah, well, yes, we do want to be getting this underway. So, as mentioned, it is the full qualifying session that is going on. So, Q1, Q2, and Q3 will be run for this series, as is fairly typical in top flight league racing. And then 22 laps of this very grueling Ardennes circuit that is, of course, known as Spa-Francorchamps. What are your thoughts of Spa, Mr. Richards?
I think it's a great track. It's probably one of my favourites. It's, of course, the longest track that is on the calendar, but I think, especially Eau Rouge Raidillon, when you look at it from a broad spectre, it's a very simple track uphill with a bit of a left and a right, but realistically, it's such a great track to watch the cars shoot up. And obviously in the wet, it's even more interesting. Then obviously you got the Lake Com chicane. That's another difficult part to get right, especially with those curves. They are deathly. If you take too much and if you take too less, you're going to lose lots of time. So you're going to be very aggressive around there. And then Pouhon, a very famous corner. I don't know why it's so famous, but I just think it's a very nice corner. I think it's a bit overrated, but I love it.
It is a really hard one to get right. Apparently a few people are saying my volume is low, which is not a common thing that is said about me, I will say. It's usually getting me to shut up. That's the trick. But yeah, Pouhon is one of these corners, downhill, double apex left-hander. It's very easy to get wrong. Yes, you've got some runoff going on there, but if you do what Fernando Alonso did in the sprint race yesterday, that was numerous amounts of spins going on and nearly met the wall.
Yeah, please don't remind me of Fernando.
No, it was a shame that what happened to Nando yesterday in the sprint race. But it was very wet in Spa when that happened. Yeah, the most experienced driver on the grid still able to make those kind of mistakes. I've just seen that we have 20 drivers. Jed Norgrove has occupied the AlphaTauri. Someone hit the button before his PC decides to have another fit.
Yeah, so finally we get underway, and today we might. I think it's the first race. We won't have a restart. Hopefully, I doubt that'll be possible. I'll probably curse it now, but hopefully we go through qualifying without a restart. We've got 3 qualifying sessions. I've done many comms on this game with short qualifying, and we still managed to restart there. So this time we've got 3 sessions, which is basically about 45 minutes of qualifying. So I think penalties are a lot more possible. So yeah, let's hope we get through the session without those.
Yes. Also, you're being advised to put your Discord onto Do Not Disturb. A lesson I learned the hard way when I was streaming for PSGL last week, and someone decided to Discord me. Discord called me about 5 laps from the end, and apparently it acted as a jump scare for those that were watching. So sorry to those that were affected by that particular moment. Right. We're loading in, ladies and gentlemen. We are heading trackside to start Q1 for round number 6.
So yeah, going to be a very interesting session. We're going to get everyone in, and then the question is it going to be wet or dry? If it's wet, it makes it a lot more pressurising for the drivers. than it is if it's dry, especially when it's a wet track drying up, because then that makes it pretty much the last one of the line will get themselves through to Q2. And we have the moment we were all waiting for, and it is dry. So for many drivers, that is very, very good. For some, might be disappointed because there'll be less chaos, but for many, I think that is a very good sign that it is going to be. Well, we presume it will be dry the whole session anyway, but it's Spa. It could be wet in 2 minutes. It could be snowing in 10 minutes.
It could be absolutely drowned in poo on and bone dry in the pit lane as well. So we've now got to wait for somebody to break cover, or somebody has. I think one of the Alpines has decided that it is time to get this session underway. Who has? It's Philip Preschnader that has decided to bring the BWT liveried car out on track to open up today's. Now, is he out on Inters? Yes, he is.
What a surprise! What a surprise at the start of a session. Everyone uses the Inters. Well, most at least that set lap uses the Inters at the start. If you don't know why, well, there's a couple of reasons. First reason is to make sure everything's working correctly, set up, and then obviously your actual equipment. And then second of all, some drivers like to do it for a bit of a psychological help. So they'll obviously set a lap time, which will be obviously quite slow, so their delta on the second lap they do on the softs will be positive the whole way through, and it'll keep increasing. So for some reason, for many drivers, that helps them psychologically because they're improving their lap time. So that is also another reason why they use the intermediate tyres as their first run. And some of them, I presume, might just want to join onto the bandwagon and think, yeah, well, they're doing it, we'll join in as well.
Yeah, saving the softer tyres for later on in the quali session is kind of more the aim of the game. We'll see. No one else has actually come out yet, so everybody is waiting for somebody else to basically get the track a bit more conditioned. Also, an indication that we are not facing any kind of wet weather. There's no clouds to be seen in the Belgian sky at the moment, so no one is expecting any rain at all. As Preschnader has come through Kerpolfrey, heading towards Blanchimont now. Is he going to actually set a lap time, or is he going to bring the car straight back in?
We'll see. As he heads down into the chicane, what does he do? Left or right? And, oh no, he goes for a lap. So he will be setting a lap. The first lap of the session as he heads now down back towards turn 1.
Yes, indeed. So as we have no one else to look at right now, let's follow Philip Preschnader then into La Source. Kisses the apex, wanders the car over to the left-hand side using as much of the rumble as he dares, then just lets the car flow back down the hill through Eau Rouge. Even with these, it's a slight feather of the throttle in these tyres. Up and over Radion onto the Kemmel Straight, one of the most populated, try that sentence again, where we'll see the most overtaking going on. Down through the gears for Lecom. Keep the car nice and steady over the left-hand side. Ooh, tail didn't like that one too much. The tyres probably already wanted to catch fire. Through Normandy, down towards Bruxelles. Hug that inside line. Now just get the throttle feathered in. Over to swing through to the right. Then it is Speaker's Corner or No Name Corner. Call it what you will. Down towards the double left-hander of Puan. Now he is going to have to feather the throttle here. These tyres will not hold as much as he would like them to. Under the sign for the Fanny chicane. Although Alex Brundle has another name for that chicane. I forgot what it was. It's quite a strange one. Campus, Stavelo next for the Alpine. Utilising all of the allowed runoff areas. Still no one else has a broken cover. Probably won't do until we get to around about 10 minutes left on the clock. But Philip Preschnader at least giving us something to talk about. Still kept it fairly flat through Blanchimont, even on the intermediate tyres, down through the gears, into the chicane, but doesn't complete the lap. Fair enough. Would be irrelevant had he have done so. We'll be looking into the 124, 25, somewhere around there, for when the first dry laps are set.
Well, it led us on to something that didn't happen. So you can see now the pit crew just letting the Alpine drive, reverse back into the pit box, the garage for the Alpine car. And now I believe we'll hopefully get some people out on track shortly. We've got 13 minutes left. And obviously people aren't going to go out too early because I do want to say some tyres. Obviously we've got the 3 qualifying sessions, so you've only got yourself a limited set of soft tyres. I believe you normally have 3 or 4 sets of softs, and then normally there's one that's locked in for Q3. So obviously you don't use all of your sets of tyres in Q1, and then go into Q2 with only used, because it's going to really help. But it's going to really make you struggle going into Q3. So I think most drivers normally wait a little bit, go out a bit later into the session, which will probably be about 10 minutes. And as I say that, I can see a green Aston Martin exiting the pits. That might be. It's not Otis Lawrence. It is Skither, I think, or is it Otis? I can't tell. Whichever one it is, it's
it's
Skither.
Skither. You're right. It is indeed the American driver that has come out on softs.
Yes.
So he's decided to break cover, and hopefully we'll start to see the first representative times get on the board. Although he's really taking his time.
Exactly. Just going very slowly, not, risking anything. Just cruising along in the Aston Martin. In 2021, this would have been the top speed of the Aston Martin, but no. It's a lot quicker this year, luckily. And it looks a lot nicer as well. I do think this is one of the most underrated liveries. It looks amazing. The green, and then obviously you got the bit of a yellow spike and the black. Yeah, it's got to be one of my top 3 liveries, I think, in all of the F1 cars this season, of course.
I offer no argument to that. I do like. I am a fan of the green.
And we've got someone else coming out. That is Ishmael Fassi. No, it's not. It is Jed Norgrove.
Jed Norgrove. Aha, we have 2 cars up there.
Yes, and Jed.
It's almost like they've rented the track, and no one else is allowed to come out and play. But not quite. I think when we hit the 10-minute mark is when we'll start seeing people breaking cover.
Mm-hmm.
There is a danger of leaving the lap very, very late in Spa because it is the longest lap. You run the risk of, if your lap is compromised by somebody else, it gives you less time to recover from it. If it was someone like Monza, for instance, you've got time to get a number of laps in.
Yeah.
But the amount of times I've seen the very best drivers caught out by someone else's issue in Spa.
Mm-hmm.
But these are some of the very best in the business. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, of course. And well, I think this is one of the most difficult tracks as well. People don't say it is, but I really think it's quite a difficult track because there's so many different types of corners. Obviously, you've got sector 2, which is very high speed, mid speed, low speed corners, and you've obviously got sector 1 and 3, which are very high speed. Setup comes into play, and some of you might have setups that are built for straight line speed, which is sector 1 and 3. Others might have cars which are built for sector 2, meaning in sector 1 and 3 you'll be slower. But I think sometimes if you have a car that's built for the first and third sector, you're going to be under a lot of issues in the second because it'll be a lot more difficult to drive with lower downforce. So some people, just for the sake of stability, might have a higher downforce setup just to help from sector 2, because we know, obviously, on this game the traction's better than last, but it can still be difficult, especially with the grip levels as well in Q1. It can still be very difficult in this middle section, as we can see now. Chris, everyone has left the pit lane bar 2.
Yeah, and Skither, his lap is utterly decimated because just as he came to the start of his lap, everybody, as I say, bar 2, which is Jarno Otmir and Philip Preschneider, was out there. So he's already bowed out of this lap. And has he got enough fuel to do another one? Well, we'll see. But he's already burnt the best out of those tyres, essentially. So he'll have plenty enough time to do another run and reshoe the car and get back out there again.
Yep. Jed Norgrove.
Sorry, go on.
I said Jed Norgrove is going to be the first one to set a lap because obviously he went for his 8 lap a bit earlier than the others. And to be fair, he's gone very slow because you can see if that's one of the Ferraris. I think that might be Nicolas Longa. He's already near enough on the back of him, coming out of the second part of Stavolo. So Jed taking a very slow procedure, but he's now speeding up to begin his first lap of the session. Chris, have you got any ideas of what type of times we'll be seeing at the start of this session? Because I'm thinking maybe 41s, maybe into the high 40s. I'm not too sure myself.
I would have thought it would have been a bit quicker than that, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm not a driver.
Well, fair point.
We'll see. Well, no one would want me on their grid. In all of the F1 games that are on my Steam list, and it goes back to F1 2015, I've probably driven 15 minutes over all of them. I've only ever commentated. I've never actually bought them for racing. It's one of these things I think I might give it a go. I never do. I just never get around to it.
There we are.
It's a 205. We know that Skitter's lap was exceedingly compromised, so we'll be looking at Jed Norgrove, who's got plenty of free track ahead of him to set a more representative lap.
And he
Put
went
it in chat.
fastest.
Put it in chat. Get your votes out there. We've seen obviously Jano. We've seen Lucas mentioned. We've seen Skither has also mentioned as well. Who are you here to support? Who are you backing? Who's going to be top of Q1, Q2, Q3? Well, obviously time will tell. But who are you here to support? Let it be known.
Well, I have a pretty good assumption of what most of the people will be saying in the chat. I think it's quite obvious what name we mentioned the most, which is fair enough. As we come through now with Jed Norgrove through in towards Blanchemont before he finishes his first lap, well, the first representative lap time of the session. There's a couple of cars ahead beginning laps. I think that might be one of the Mercedes. Yes, it is one of the Mercedes. I think that is Jano Otmea who's heading up towards. Oh, big slide there from Jed in the final couple of corners. That's not going to be ideal at all for his lap time as he comes up towards the line. What will it be for Jed? It's a 40.872 for the first lap time of this session.
Yeah, it was a bit compromised in the final chicane, but everybody else is either on a hot lap or about to start one. Tomek Parajic in the prancing horse, 140.7 his opening gambit. Who is next? That's Leroy Brown in the Red Bull, 141.180. And the next, I think it is Declan Barrett coming over the line, a 40.724. So he takes the top spot out by half a tenth.
Very nice.
We've got Skither in the pits. There's Yannick Schmidt in the Williams at 141.3. That's who's just crossed the line. Well, there's Luke Smith in the Alpine, 140.7. Nika Baena, 140.9. Otis Lawrence at 40.4. So a bit more heavy right foot there. Nicholas Longue by 1,000th of a second is right behind Otis Lawrence. Jack West at 40.5 on the board. Ismail Fassi at 40.674. One of the Papaya McLarens, that's Wilson Hughes at 40.8. So very, very close time. 1,000th of a second over a minute 40 lap. That's quite, that's impressive.
It is, as Lucas Blakely goes to the top with a 40.407. So there's now a bit of a bigger gap between P1 and 2, but still Otis and Nicholas very close on times there. As then you can see the grid kind of starting to spread out as we go down. We've got 0.4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, and then for Leroy and Yannick, both in the 41s, they definitely need to improve on that because that will not get them through to Q2 at all. There's a few people on lap times. Jano Otmea coming down in towards the bus stop chicane. We'll see what he can do in the Mercedes. Can he get quicker than his championship rival? No, he can't. Only 12 for Jano Otmea. That is considerably lower than we should expect from Jano Otmea, so he's definitely going to have to improve on that. 40.8, that's about 4.5 tenths off of Lucas Blakely's time. So that is a considerable, considerable gap between those two. As I think we've still got a few more cars to come over the line. We've got Legend Rosenberg has invalidated, Andrei Tarabukin has invalidated, Philip Prejneda hasn't. He's heading now through in towards the Lake chicane, then he comes down in towards Malmedy. We'll see what he can do on his lap time. Obviously, his teammate, Luke Smith, sitting in the top 9 for now with a 0.798. We'll see what Philip Prejneda can do on his lap. Obviously, with it being quite a long lap, you tend to see larger gaps normally in the field because of there's more places to make mistakes. You know, it's just a longer circuit. As Philip comes down in towards the P1. And I don't know if he's on a lap time. I don't think he is he? We'll see. He's coming through. No, he's not. He's let off. So
he's backed out of it. Yeah, I think he was on a time lap, but somewhere that's been compromised. I don't think it was compromised by the McLaren, which was not Wilson Hughes. So that was Lucas Blakely then. I think Lucas was very much out of the way.
Yeah, definitely. But your bottom 5 so far in this session is Yannick Schmidt, Skither, Philip Prejneda, Legend Rosenberg, and Andrad Tarabukin. And, well, Otis Lawrence thinks a 0.459 is enough.
I'd say he's right. I would say he's comfortable enough that he can retire at this point. But we will see. Jack West has parked it as well in the house with a 40.550. I wouldn't be surprised if certainly the top 6 decide to do the same. Declan Barrett downward may consider coming out again. A lot more cloud up in the sky than there was at the beginning of the session, so may we see rain in later Q sessions. Well, I've been caught out by making that assumption in the past. But apparently Jano only got home half an hour ago from Spa, so hasn't had time to put any practice in. But Spa is a circuit that every experienced racing driver knows just very, very instinctively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
that said, you still need to hone how your car, your setup is going to behave. As straight back out on track comes Andre Tarabukin. 3 minutes ago, this is what I call the Banzai phase of the qualifying session. So Jarno back into the pits should be able to be turned around in time to have another crack at it, should he choose to do so. Eastman Pookie has parked it as well, 140.643.
That is, I'd say, quite optimistic from Eastman Pookie. 0.643, and he thinks that's enough. I think that might be close, you know. And Tarek Perez just thinks a 0.75, well, 0.76 is good enough to get himself through to Q2. So, yeah, some big, brave moves from some of the drivers on the grid. I'd say the top 4 are comfortably through, but Istvan could be close. Tomek, I think that is very bold. As obviously Ishmael and Declan have both thought they need to get out on track, and then you've got people right behind who are only less than a tenth behind who think they also need to get out. So yeah, that could be, yeah, that is something indeed. But maybe Tomek could also be hoping on drivers making mistakes behind.
Yeah, Tomek Perez is throwing the dice, I think, there. We will see. As Andre Tarabukin in the Alfa Romeo just coming down towards the Spanish chicane. He leads all of the remaining cars now. Everybody is back out on track. Jarno is on track now, but he should have enough time to get another lap time. Of course, I can't see how much time is left because it just says caution. We don't see any differently to what you see on stream, folks. We don't have any magic gimmickry going on there. I think Andre May will be starting to get the hammer down a bit, as right behind him is one of the Red Bulls. It must be Leroy Brown. Yes, it is. So what does I'm going to keep an eye on Jarno. I don't think he's the only time he's going to be in any danger is if somebody makes a big mistake ahead of him, but it's actually just overtaken someone.
Yeah.
On his outlap. So I think he'll be fine. So now we're going to have rapid fire of the last laps of this Q1 session to see who is going to be in that drop zone.
Yeah, Andre Tarabukin coming through in towards Eau Rouge and Radion now. Obviously not got a time on the board yet, so he needs at least, I'd say, a 40.7 or a 40.6 to get himself through in this session as he heads down the Kemmel Straight with the DRS in towards the Laycombe chicane, braking about the 50-metre board. Then you just want to throw the car in there in 5th gear. You'll be careful of these curbs, but you want to also make sure you can take as much of them as you can as you now come down in towards Malmedy. Very difficult corner, very downhill braking, so be very careful not to lock the rear up. So he goes in there, goes a little bit wide, but he can collect the car back as he comes through now in towards Speaker's Corner, no-name corner, as you might know it, as we come through there now on the exit. Very nice for Andre Tarabukin, taking lots of risks so far as you're coming towards a double left-hander at P1. Just want to shift into 7th and keep the car through. Don't go wide. He did that perfectly there for Tarabukin. Now as he comes down in towards the Fanya chicane, right just after the 50-metre board, hit that concrete on the curb if you can. That can really pull you around, and then you've got to ride wide on the exit. You come down towards Stavelo. Just hook the inside line, very nice, and ride the curb on the exit. Coming up in towards curve Paul Frere now. Just want to go wide there. Very nice for Andre Tarabukin as Ishmael Fassi doesn't cross the line in time. Or he went into the pits, one of the two anyway.
He went into the pits, yeah, he pitted.
And now, through Blanchemont. Very nice for Andre Tarabukin. This will be a very difficult lap time to get. He goes in towards the final couple of corners now. The bus stop chicane has a bit of a drift. That's going to drift him about. That could cause some issues. Very unstable on the rear. What will it be for Tarabukin? It'll be a 40.844 P12.
Ooh, he's going to be playing with fire a bit. Leroy Brown's already made that day worse for him. 140.7 for him. Skither is out. 17th for him. 141.046. And Declan Barrett up to the 4th of 40.5 for the second Red Bull. What about the Haas coming around? There's Ika Baena, 140.7 for him. So, Yannick Schmidt is out of the session now. There's more times come over. Luke Smith has set a time as well. Jarno is 15th at the moment. He's going to be looking at Ray Schneider, Rosenberg, and Jed Norgrove to make his day even worse. I'm riding on board with Jarno at the minute. Wilson Hughes is over the line. Jed Norgrove up in the 7th. So, Andre Tarabukin is out of the session. And Rosenberg could not get himself out of the drop zone. What can Jarno do? Does he pull out of the bottom 5?
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
P13, I believe that was. No, P12 for Jarno. So very close to that drop zone, but still comfortably into the top 15. But now you're back to think, well, if he could get 12th in Q1 on his first run, 12th on his second run, is he going to get himself through into Q3? But we look through now at the results from qualifying 1, and Lucas Blakely tops the timing sheets with a 1:40.405. Otis Lawrence second with a 40.458. Then we have Nicholas Longa in third with a 40.459. Then Declan Barrett, Luke Smith, Jack West, Jed Norgrove, Philip Preschneider, Istvan Pookie, and Wilson Hughes in the top 10. Then we have Ishmael Fassi, Jona Otmea, Ika Bayana, and Benson Baconi and Tomasz Bradracis making it through. And then out of the session, it's Leroy Brown, Andre Tarabukin, Legend Rosenberg, Yannick Schmidt, and Skidder. We'll be back with you very shortly. First of all, we're going to have a word from our sponsor at GridFinder. Welcome back, everybody, to the live pictures here for the WOR Belgian Grand Prix. So, a very hectic Q1, wasn't it, Chris? Indeed, and Jona making it through, I'd say, pretty much by the skin of his teeth. Only 12th for him, and he was only, I think, about just a 10th over what he needed to get through. So, very close. And coming into Q2, there's only 10 spots through to Q3, 5 less than before. So, I think it's going to be even more intense this time around, as we've already got cars out on circuit.
Indeed, and it's much more cloudy this time. Those clouds are very dark, so if rain is coming, Istvan Fassi has broken cover already, and Luke Smith has followed him out. So, are we expecting rain in this session? That's going to be the question.
It's very overcast, isn't it? Really overcast as I'm looking through on Ishmael's POV. Well, this could be an interesting one if it does start to rain. Ishmael and Luke are in a very good position. Everyone else is not. So at this point, it could be anyone getting through and anyone being out. As obviously, you need to get yourself a lap time on the ball, because if you don't set a lap and you're in the bottom 5, you stay there. So that would be Ishmael, Luke, Jed, Lucas, and Declan. But surely everyone will get out on track. Some put to set a lap. Obviously, unfortunately, us broadcasters don't get to see what the weather's going to be. So we don't get that luxury of knowing what the weather's going to be. So if anyone in the chat is engineering or something, let us know. Is it meant to rain? Is it going to be dry? Because that really helps us, especially when it comes to predicting what people are going to do throughout sessions.
Yeah, I'm watching Istvan Fassi go for a somewhat exploratory route on the outside of Pilon. No one else has broken cover, though. I thought with Ishmael and Luke coming up very, very early, I was expecting a big flood of people, but no one else has come out. So the weather would seem to not wanting to be playing a part this time, or certainly not as far as everyone else is concerned. But we'll see what the AlphaTauri. Ishmael is straight back in. So just a sighter lap for him. Does Luke Smith in the Alpine do the same? Yes, he does. So no sign of a soft lap being set this time around. And the sun is just beginning to break through here at the pit lane, at least. Those clouds look very, very ominous. But with people not setting an early lap and no one else coming out, I would think that the weather is not going to play a part just yet.
Yeah, not yet. And we've got Declan Barrett now heading at the pit. So, well, people have came in. He's going back out. And you can see now, it looks like it's actually starting to get sunnier.
Does look like that way. Just saw somebody breaking cover now. That is, wait for our... Is that one of the Williams pair? No, it was one of the Red Bulls. It was Declan Barrett, who I saw getting a vote in the stream for the race win. As the sun beginning to bathe the circuit once more.
Yeah, and I just want to make it clear in the chat. Yes, I know the bit rate's low, but that's all I can do, and at least you get a stream. So yeah, it's either that or nothing.
Someone saying, I want it to rain in the game it'll be more interesting. Well, we'll see. That's not up to us. It is set to random weather, or was it realistic weather, so we don't get rain in Bahrain, for instance. It does happen out there, you know. It does very, very rarely. But we'll see what the quality session and ultimately the race session has in store. Declan Barrett is taking a very, very almost a stroll through Spa. just coasting his way down to Bruxelles. Spa is one of those circuits I'd love to go and watch a race from. I've been to Silverstone. I've never been to Spa, and I'm trying to decide where would I want to watch, where would I want to be. I want to be everywhere though, because no matter where you stood, you would get a great view.
Yeah, indeed. It's a great track. I've never been. I want to. It's one of the. I'd say it's on my bucket list to go to Spa because I think, apart from it being a great racetrack, it is an iconic track. Same as Silverstone. You know, you think of racing, you think of Spa, Monza, Silverstone. So those three tracks are ones I want to go to. I've been to Silverstone, funnily enough, before I even liked F1. So it didn't feel the same at that time. So I'd love to go again and kind of experience it. I'd say for the first time. But yeah, I think being here online, you don't get that real feeling you would in real life, would you? At all.
Where did you watch from in Silverstone?
I believe it was on the right side of the pit lane, pit lane exit.
Nice.
Farm. Very nice place to watch the cars go through. I was watching some BMWs and it was Renault Clio. So yeah, very nice. And the cars, you can hear them all around the track. It's great.
Awesome. Question in chat. Yes, all the cars are set to same level performance. It's the driver behind the wheel that makes the difference.
Yeah.
So you're not just going to see the Mercedes up front. All 15 remaining cars are now out on track. That's habit. Oh, it's not just the Mercedes up front. There's a very old habit there. Showing my age somewhat. But even though, how long the lap is, most of the field are still really heavily bunched up. Look at the ball coming through Bruxelles.
Yeah, everyone all together, which is something we don't never not see. And unfortunately, because of the game being the game, the chances are we'll start to get these stupid penalties being given out because people are apparently illegally blocking, which is true. But when they're all in out laps, no one's really blocking anyone at all. But anyway, we've got our first lap time. It is Declan Barrett now heading through in towards our Rouge and Radio. I'm going to be setting the first lap time of the session on the soft tyres. I believe it will be used soft for Declan, so he got himself comfortably into Q2. So could obviously save himself a set of soft tyres now as he comes through in towards Lake. 29.8 in the first set. Very nice there for Declan.
Very true. A little bit uncomfortable coming out of Lecom. Couldn't get across to the left-hand side for Normandy. And down through Bruxelles. Hugs that inside line quite nicely. Car nice and settled on the way down towards Speaker's Corner. Utilising all of the runoff area where you can't go off any further because you'll be off onto the wall.
Yeah, he's invalidated.
Oh, no. And that's how easy it is to invalidate. You push that tiny bit too far up at Speakers, and it is. And he's still pressing on, though. I wonder if he realises he's invalidated. He's going for it nonetheless.
Yep, Jed Norgrove, he's on a lap time as well in the AlphaTauri. Coming through now, down in towards Bruxelles himself. Let's see if he can make it through this time without invalidating like Declan Barrett did. Obviously wanted to get himself, I'd say, comfortably a 1 minute 40. Maybe a 40.7, 40.8. Obviously, being on used tyres, you might be a little bit slower than that. As we come through now, down in towards P1. Obviously, everyone now getting ready to start their laps. If not, they are starting their laps as Jed Norgrove now coming through there in towards the Fania chicane now, braking at about the 50 metre board. Just slide the car in, keep it in 5th gear as you coast the car through, then obviously using the curbs on the entries and the exits as you now go down in towards Stavelot corner. Very difficult one to get right because you can easily invalidate on the exit curb. A 112.4504 the split for both two sectors. Now as he heads up in towards this pretty much long straight with a bit of a kink to the left, which is Blanchimont for Jed Norgrove. So we'll see what he can do here now as he you can see just throws the car to the left a little bit of a turn on the wheel, nothing too much. As he comes down in towards the bus stop chicane. Obviously it will be the first lap time set in this session. We'll see what he can do. As you can see, drifting into the corners we've seen many times from many drivers. What will it be for Jed Norgrove up towards the line? Will it be a 40? It will. It'll be a 40.486. Very nice lap time there from Jed Norgrove.
Yeah, typically it's the used softs that come out for these first runs in Q2. Tomi Paragic on the board with a 40.645. And who's next is Ika Bayana, 46.64. Not even 200ths behind Paragic. Jack West getting the top spot for the moment, 144.02. And I was keeping an eye on Philip Prochnader there. He's invalidated his laps. So again, roughly the same spot that we saw Declan Barrett do so, which was up at Speaker's Corner. Ironically, Declan did actually cross the line. He did a really big slide coming through that final chicane. So he was still giving it plenty.
Oh,
Ishmael Fassi over the line. Luke Smith over the line as well. Ben Sabakonyi in the Williams. And Nicholas Longo with a 40.1.
Ooh.
Okay, starting to creep towards the 39s now. Eastman Pookie with a 40.3. Some people may have opted to go straight for the fresh tyres, but I suspect that was probably Nick Longo pushing a bit harder than the rest. 40.2 for the Papaya McLaren of Lucas Blakely. So we'll get to see a time from Prey Schneider, from Otis Lawrence, and from Declan Barrett. Otis Lawrence has backed out of his lap as well. He's up at Bruxelles. So still time for more lap times to come in.
Yep, Otis did invalidate on his lap, so I'm not sure that Philip's on a lap. No, he's not, because he's only got 30% battery, so he's not going to be on a lap time. So there we are. At the moment, people out of this session are Tomek Parajic with a 40.645, then it's Ika Bayena, then it is Philip Preshneda, Otis Lawrence, and Declan Barrett. The gap between 11th and 12th, between 10th and 11th, is about a tenth of a second. So I'd say the cut-off for this session might be a 0.4, maybe a 0.3, because you can see there, 4th down to 8th, all in the 40.4s. Then you got Istvan Puk exactly a tenth ahead of Jack West with a 40.3. I think the top two, probably also Istvan Puk is safe. Anyone else, if you're in the 0.4s, you need to get out again towards the end of the session and get yourself a second lap. So, I mean, obviously many drivers could be on the used tyres, hence why they're a bit slower. But generally, I think we'll see quite a few people such as Nicholas and Lucas on the brand new set of tyres. Obviously, if they've only used one set in Q1, you've got an extra set for Q2.
Very true indeed. As most people are heading back towards the pits now. It looks like it's getting very busy getting back into the pit lane.
It is.
As, it's getting a bit close. Careful, we don't want the dreaded penalty to pop up.
Yeah, it's part of Spa. For some reason, you can get caught up anywhere. You can even get caught up on the Kemmel Straight. The track can be that mental. And I don't even know why, because it's a big track as well. It's quite wide, it's quite long, so you'd expect there not to be so many issues, but drivers somehow make it happen. Sometimes you just try to figure out, do the drivers do it purposely?
Probably.
Well, wouldn't be surprised anyway, as Lucas Blakely, the last one to get into the pits. And then we have, as you call, Chris, the bonsai phase yet again for Q2, and I think it'll be even more hectic. At this point, I think the only two safe are Nicholas and Lucas. Everyone else has got to get themselves a new set of boots on and get back out on track very shortly, because obviously being a long lap, you're going to have to spend about, I'd say, 1 minute and 50, 1 minute, I'd say 1 minute and 50 seconds, maybe 2 minutes on your warm-up, so you need to get out as soon as you can.
More than likely, but yeah, Nicholas Longer has indeed parked it. I would think Eastman is probably safe as well, so he can probably afford to park the Alfa Romeo. Someone has broken cover already. Who was that? It's Declan Barrett again. So he's opted to come out quickly to start his final run. Jack West in the Haas has followed him out, along with several others. So again, most people coming back out, it looks like, to get their final runs in. Otis Lawrence, Ika Bayena, Ben Sabakoni, Ishmael Fassi, and Jack West, along with Declan Barrett, all on track at the moment. And again, I thought he would. Lucas Blakely has parked it. And I'd say he's comfortable to do so. 40.2 on the board.
But
Go on.
That lap from Nicholas, great lap, a 40.197, very nice indeed.
Jarno's coming back out as well. So everybody except for Istvan Puk will be on track that can rejoin. Again, wouldn't be entirely surprised if Istvan decided to retire from the session. 2 minutes on the clock. If he's not going to retire, he needs to kind of make up his mind and get back out there.
Yep.
So we'll see then. Are people beginning to kind of pay heed to... there is Istvan parking it. Are people beginning to pay heed to the dreaded blocking penalty and actually leaving sufficient space? I really don't want to say it, because I don't want to be the one that commentator curses the lobby to have to restart.
Well, Chris, you've probably cursed it by now.
I probably already have. I may as well go all the way in there. We haven't had the grid penalty for blocking yet. And I would say, looking at the map, everybody is sufficiently spread apart at the moment. But will it stay that way for the remainder of the session and, of course, for Q3? Time will tell. As Declan Barrett And the Red Bull just coming through Blanchimont now for his final run of the session. 140, well, currently 140.535 by Wilson Hughes is his target. Of course, as everybody gets their laps in, that target will continue to fall. It's only 1.5 tenths between 10th and 4th.
Yeah.
So it's once again very, very close. Declan winds it up, and we're underway for the Banzai phase here in Spa for Q2.
Yep, Declan Barrett now heading down in towards the source at turn 1, down to third gear. Then you want to obviously ride the curb on the exit at turn 1. You can get yourself some nice traction on the exit now, heading up towards turn 2, and then you're coming towards Eau Rouge and Radion. A pretty simple corner to drive, but in real life it's a very scary corner to drive indeed. As you come through there now, obviously wanted to not invalidate the lap. He doesn't do so. He's got the DRS now enabled as he heads down the Kemmel straight in towards the Lacombe chicane. A very difficult chicane, wanting to take as much curb as you can, but be very careful because the curbs can be very deadly and they can spit you out very easily now as Declan goes through there very nicely. And this is now we're coming up to where he invalidated the lap time previously in towards this downhill braking zone. Obviously, want you to keep yourself to the inside on the apex, drift out one on the exit so you can get a nice traction exit. Very nice there for Declan Barrett in towards No Name Corner on the exit. That's where he invalidated. This time he doesn't, so he does make it through. Now in towards Poon at the double left-handers. Just throw the car in there, keep it in 7th gear as you go charge all the way through. Keep it to the inside, then ride wide on the exit. Now in towards the Fania chicane. Keep very close to the inside line. If not, oh, and he's invalidated again. So that is Declan Barrett out of this session. Now Otis Lawrence is also one of the other two drivers not to set lap times in this session so far, so he needs to keep it calm and collected to make sure he doesn't invalidate the lap time as he comes down now in towards Savalo.
Price has already invalidated his lap, so he will take no further part in qualifying. Otis Lawrence lights up this second sector time with a purple sector, but again that time is going to fall. Is he going to get a bit of slipstream off of Declan? Well, no, Declan hasn't slowed down. Everybody made it across the line. No one was really pushing the flag that hard. But Declan Barrett crosses the line anyway, but will be starting no higher than 15. Jack West at 40.330 to put him in 4th. Otis Lawrence at 40.282 for him puts him in 3rd. Ben Sabakonyi 6th. Who's next over the line? It is Ismail Farsi with a 40.2 for 2nd. Now it's one of the Hasses. It's got to be Bayana. There it is. 40.3 for 7th. More times over the line. That's Parajic. 40.3. Luke Smith is out. So 40.443. He will start no higher than 11th. More times on the board. Yano right on the cusp there. That is last man over the line. And Yano's got to improve here. I think he improved in time.
7th.
And it was 7th. There we go.
Very nice there from Yarno. So puts himself into Q3. He was nearly out then, wasn't it? That was a close one indeed. As we see the final classification. So it was Nicolas Lange top in the session with a 40.196. Ishmael Fassi in 2nd with a 40.247. And 2,000ths behind was his teammate. Dead Norgrove in 3rd. Then we have Lucas Blakely in 4th. Otis Lawrence in 5th. Isfan Pugi in 6th. Yarno Otme in 7th. Jack West 8th. Tomek Parajic 9th. And Ikabayana running in the top 10. And then out of the session we have Bent Sabakonyi, Luke Smith, Wilson Hughes, Philip Preschneider and Declan Barrett. Obviously Philip and Declan didn't get lap times on the board, so that's not good at all for them in this session. But still, Ika making it through by the skin of his teeth by about 20,000ths of a second into Q3. So at the moment we've got, I think the only team to get both cars through are AlphaTauri, Ferrari and Haas.
Just 0.2 of a second covering the top 10 at Spa. That is quite an incredible feat. So then straight into Q3, our 10 remaining drivers with 12 minutes on the clock. Is anybody going to be quick out of the blocks? We had it in Q2. No one has broken cover yet. More than likely going to see one use set run and one all-out fresh set run.
Well, I think Nicholas could get away with it because he only did one lap in that session, so I think he might have 2 spare sets for Q3.
Nice. But it's Jack West, his first man out in the Haas. Now, we can't tell, or I certainly can't tell, whether they're used or whether they are new sets of tyres from the external camera. So we just have to judge by the time they set. If it's 40.4, somewhere around there, that's more likely to be a used set. If we're pushing the 39s, and it's almost certainly going to be a new set on the board. So Jack West, Ethan Puki, Jano Otmi, and Ismail Fassi. Now Jano's been the last man out in the last couple of sessions. He decided to come out early this time. Interesting. So breaking the habit for this session so far is the GOAT himself, as he's often referred to in chat.
Yeah. As someone in the chat says, Jono doesn't even have new tyres. The game gave him no new tyres for Q3.
Ouch.
Oh, well, that is not ideal at all for Jarno, but I'm sure he'll still try and figure something out to make it work. But Jack West out first. I've been watching Jack recently in the PSGL League, and he's been doing a great job there. I believe he's leading the championship for Formula 2, so he's doing a great job, you know, in general with his pace. So hopefully we can see Jack West possibly challenging for that top 5, maybe the top 3, if he can make it work in this session. He's Van Pookie as well, another outlier, sitting well in second place in the first 2 sessions. I think he was in the top 5 in both of them. And we have Jarno, Tomek and Nicholas making themselves comfortably into Q3. Ikebana barely into Q3 by a few thousandths of a second. Otis Lawrence as well making it through. Obviously had a penalty in last race in Mexico, so got demoted from his P2. I think he dropped down outside the points. Ishmael Fassi and Jed Norgrove also making it through to Q3. And also Lucas Blakely, obviously our current, I'd say, leader or co-leader in the championship, along with Jarno Otmir, both on 68 points. I think Lucas is ahead because he's got 2 wins and Jarno's only got 1.
Yep, indeed. Countback would give the Scotsman at present the championship lead, but still half the season to go. And no good trying to call that one just yet. Jack West then in the hat is going to be the one to open the scoreboard for Q3. Hard over to the left, flirting with the grass. Oh, he didn't quite catch the apex of the source. He's pressing on nonetheless. Keep an eye on his lap time. Pookie next, then it is Fassi. Then it is going to be Jarno Otmir. So it was actually Blakely is the last man out on track this time. Such has been his confidence. He's just had to do the single lap run so far and park the car. You see, that confidence always seems to pay off for him. And he's a double F1 Esports World Champion for a reason.
Yep, 29.879 there for Jack West in the first sector now. Heading down in towards Bruxelles. Down at, I believe this is turn 9 or 10. Coming through there now. Very nice on the inside line. And then you come down in towards No Name. Speaker's Corner. Jackie Eats Corner. It's got many names. Considering it's called No Name, it's got quite a few. Yeah, Jackie Eats Corner is its new name.
Well, yeah, but Jackie X said, no, it's not named after me. So Jackie X himself said that it's not actually, even though people call it Jackie X, although I've only ever called it either Speakers or No Name. So, yeah, for a No Name corner, it has quite a few names that are actually associated with it.
I think it should be best to be kept at No Name, make it simple, as Jack West invalidates on his lap time. Miss Van Pookie has invalidated on his lap time. Is Jarno Otmir? No, he's made it through safely as he comes through in towards the end of this middle sector. We'll see what he can do as he comes down in towards the Fanya chicane. Then he'll obviously have Salavlo as his next enemy as he comes through there. Very nice for Jarno Otmir. You can see taking a lot of risk on this lap, obviously on used tyres, of course, as he comes through there. 12.882 in that middle and first sector split for Jarno Otmir. Now as he heads up in towards Blanchemont very shortly. The bit of well, in the supercars, it's a very tight left. In these cars, it's just a bit of a, well, you turn the gear about 20, turn the wheel about 20 degrees and you're there. It's pretty much a straight for these cars. Obviously, Ishmael Fassi sets a fastest time of 40.438. What can Jarno Otmir do? Can he be quicker than Ishmael Fassi as he heads up to the line? What will it be? It's a 41.029 for Jarno Otmir. Even on used tyres, that is considerably far off, isn't it?
That's, well, it is just a side to lap, but that is not going to get him out of the bottom part of this qualifying at present. I'm keeping an eye on Lucas Blakely at the moment as more laps are finishing. Ika Bayena at 41.5. So was there people tripping over each other? I'd be very surprised because they've all been very, well spaced out. Jed Norgrove at 40.9, so not many people pushing in this session so far. Tommy Paragic at 40.860. So I think it's just people just not pushing on these used sets of tyres. Except for Otis Lawrence. Literally just as those words leave my mouth. A 40.181. That is a new set. If that's a used set, then he's just done a lap of the gods. But, never mind, Nicholas Longay. Flirting with the 139. 140.061 for the Frenchman in the Ferrari. So I think it is just Lucas Blakely now to cross the line in the Papaya McLaren coming through the chicane now. Where will the Scotsman slot in on this first run? It's a 40.149, slots into second behind Nicholas Longay.
Yeah, very nice that time there from Lucas Blakely. But the top three, Nicholas, Lucas and Otis, all race winners. Obviously, Lucas taking 2 wins. Nicholas and Otis taking 1 win apiece. So very nice for us to be in the top 3. Ishmael Fassi, to me, has been a bit of an outlier. I've commentated over him a lot in the past. But as of recent, he's been really quick. And he's up with these top guys, such as Otis and Lucas and Nicholas, which is great. Jarno, down in 7th, obviously. He must have made a mistake, because even on used tyres, you're not normally in the 41s. Ika Baena must have also made a mistake, because he's in the 41.5s. Obviously, Jack and Isfan, unfortunately for them, considering they've been very quick so far these sessions, they haven't got a time because of track limit violations, which is an issue we've seen before around this track. It's very easy to get a track limit violation, even if you're the quickest driver. Going wide is an easy thing to do. And around here, and as we know on this game, the track limits are harsh. They are horrible.
Yeah, pretty much any simulator as well. Spa has got some of the most strictly enforced corner cutting rules out there. There are worse, yes, but Spa is always one of these circuits that will catch drivers out. But in a field that is this close in lap times, this close in talent, you have got to push. You've got to use every pixel of available space to get any advantage over your competitors. So it's not really a surprise that we're seeing drivers using every single inch, every millimeter they can. And that inevitably is going to lead to pushing that tiny bit too far on occasion.
Yeah, and I think every quick driver is a victim of it. Even in real life, online, everyone ends up pushing too much. And I think at the start of a Q3 session, you don't push as hard. You're not always going to be at the top because you want to give yourself a bit of a, just a bit of a banker to help you in the end of the session. If you invalidate your first run in Q3, you've got 1 chance. But if you can get yourself a run that might be 3 or 4 tenths off what you can do, you're like, right, we've got a 40.1, a 40.2, whatever. We can go into the last part of the session, nothing to lose, try and get ourselves in the 39s, try and get ourselves in that top 3, top 4. So I think, it could be the fact of Jed and Yano and Ika not wanting to push too hard at the start of the session. It could just be the fact they made mistakes, or it could be the fact their tyres are absolutely dead. So, yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting end. But at the moment, I'm going to say pole. I'm going to go with Otis Lawrence. I think he had a bit of unfortunate in the last race, so I'm going to say this time P1 for Otis. What do you think, Chris?
I'm a bit of a sucker for throwing a bit of a curveball in there. Now, we've had, as you were saying earlier, Nathan, we've had 5 different pole sitters: Jarno Ottmeier, Lucas Blakely, Otis Lawrence, Fabrizio Donoso, and Nicholas Longay. I'm going to go with the Ferrari on this one. I'm going to go Longay.
Well, you've heard it from us. Otis for me, Nicholas for Chris. Let us know in the chat, everyone. Who do you think will take pole position? You've got Nicholas, Lucas, Otis, all with a very good chance. And you've got the likes of Jarno Ottmeier, who can also have a chance. And also Isfan Pookie and Ishmael Fassi, who've all been looking quick in this session. So any one of these top 10 could try and take that pole position. Let us know in the chat who you are voting for. And, well, you'll find out in just over 2 minutes' time, as we've got Lucas Blakely, Nicholas Longay, everyone now out on track for their final runs in this qualifying session. And see, for me, I always love this ending because it is the build-up, the anticipation for these 8 laps, getting ready for that one last opportunity for any of these drivers to take that pole position. I think this is always the best part, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is where all the preparation. This is what all the preparation boils down to. No more talking, no more guessing. This is what it all adds up to. Who has got that one magic lap? Nicholas Longay actually overtook Otis Lawrence coming out of the, he just come out of the pit lane, but Aston Martin was first out of the pits for this last run, and the Ferrari actually passed him. There's nothing wrong in that, but when you're flirting with these grid penalties for blocking, that's someone's brave out there. But it's so now the field being led by the Ferrari. My vote for pole of Nicholas Longay. Right behind him is Richie's vote of Otis Lawrence. Who is going to a lot of votes for Jarno. That's absolutely fine. Get your another one for Nicholas. Yeah, absolutely fine.
Oh, and here we are. There we are. Oh. As soon as I sent into chat to Connor about a minute ago, we've had none yet, and there we go. Our first grid penalty of the session. goes to Lucas Blakely.
Less than 2 minutes. Less than 1.5 minutes. You should carry that, Lucas. We're not going to restart the session. You carry it. That was. I don't know. I don't actually know whose fault it is. Again, look at where they are. They're all bunched up, coming through Stavelo. I said in the previous run they were doing a brilliant job of spacing out to avoid the penalty.
Oh, and another
one. Oh goodness me!
We'll be starting in the pit lane in a minute.
He will still be here next week. Right. Longue starts his final run. Where will he finish? Not a great meeting at the apex of Stavelo, but pressing on nonetheless. Down the hill, lines himself up for the Eau Rouge and Radion combination in the dry. These cars don't worry about it too much. Up onto the Camel Straight. And just lets the car wander over to the left-hand side, thinking about how he's going to attack Lake Carmen Normandy. Over the rumble strip, kisses the first apex, rumbles over the second, and throws the car for the run down the hill out of Normandy. Bruxelles now hugs that inside dive. The checkered flag is out. All 10 cars are on a time lap. Speaker's corner, no-name corner, call it what you will. And where will Longue finish the first sector? We'll see shortly. Got to go down quite some way. Finish the second sector, I should say. You go down to Stavelo for that one. Through the Spanish chicane. Pressing on with everything he's got left in the car. And that's invalid. That is invalidated for Longue. He was a 10th up as well. He would have broken into the 39s with that one. What about Otis Lawrence then?
He's up by a 10th.
He's up by a 10th. That will put him just behind Longue at this point in time, but it will put him ahead of the cause of the lobby restart, Mr. Blakely. So then, where will the Aston Martin? He's burnt all his or nearly all his ERS out for this run. So Longue over the line. He obviously can't improve without invalidated lap time, and that's a 141.025 for Otis Lawrence. Who is next? It's Norgrove, 141.238 for fourth. Next is one of the Haas, Jack West, 40.099. Then it's the second Haas of Baena. That's a 202 for him. Next up is Ismail Fassi, a 40.055 for the Spaniard. Next up is Parajic, a 186 for him. And that is Blakely getting into the 39s, a 139.857 for him. But what about Jarno? Don't know. Didn't see where his time landed in.
P9.
Only 9 for Jarno.
But a 139.857. That is phenomenal. Over 1.5 tenths separates the top two, with that being Lucas in first, obviously our championship leader along with Jarno Opmeer, and then Otis Lawrence, who's sitting in third in the championship, just 5 points away in second. 30,000 separating Otis and Ismail Fassi. Then Nicholas Longue into fourth position. Then Jack West and Tom Prajic take the third row. The fourth row is Istvan Pukki and Ika Baena, and then Jarno Opmeer starts in ninth position. Championship protagonist at the moment, down in ninth along with Jed Norgrove into 10th position. But 3 tenths separating the whole field. 1.5 tenths separating the top two. There is a bigger gap, I think, between between Lucas and Otis than there is between Otis and Jarno.
Now, there are calls for Jarno doing that on used tyres. If that is the case, then that is a very, very impressive lap time. Now, as far as I know, we will be heading into a lobby restart. Now, I'm going to go into the next session to see what the weather was starting like. Yep, and there we go. We've now had that the dreaded migrating host message. So a lobby restart is coming down to the last 1.5 minutes.
Chris, I'll blame you still.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. But Lucas Blakely taking the top spot. And, well, it was a dry start. Yeah. So that's all I can tell you.
Well.
But everybody heading out of session now. Oh, so close. But what does this mean for the race? It's a little bit of a mixed grid as far as those behind our pole sitter is concerned.
Yeah.
But I bet you Nico is kicking it. He'd have been right there. He'd have been certainly challenging to maintain that top spot. But it's not about where you start, it's about where you finish.
Yep, indeed. And before we get in towards the race, everyone will have a quick word from our sponsors at GridFinder and Next Level Racing. Welcome back, everyone, to WOR here for the T1 round at Belgium. We've got a short delay as we are waiting for the restart after Lucas Blakely gave us 2 penalties after Chris said we wouldn't get any. So, Chris, the blame's on you.
So I'll take it. I risked mentioning it. I risked saying that we hadn't had it. So, unfortunate. I wasn't looking at Lucas, so whether it was he was too slow or someone behind him was too close to his tail end, who knows? Either way, we know what this penalty's like by now, so we have to deal with the consequence of it. Part of me wondered whether Lucas would actually try and run with it anyway. He's done it before. He started at the back and charged through to a podium.
And I'm in, by the way.
So, lovely, thank you. So that thought did cross my mind whether he would actually just try and start from there. But either way, we'll get back into the session. This is not the work of a moment to rebuild the grid. So this will take a few minutes to get sorted out. So we're not just waffling because we've got nothing to for the sake of it. It does take a few minutes. I have had the unenviable task of having to manually rebuild the grid. It is not fun, but at least all the drivers were in the session. I think we've just lost one. But they were there a second ago.
We've got just got to wait for Jarno. But yeah, again, everyone, sorry for the issues with the bit rates. The PC can run it fine, but I've changed over to OBS recently, and I've obviously just not changed it. So hopefully for next time it'll be better. But Dan and Ryan will most likely be with you again next week. So obviously me and Chris are just filling in for this time. So if there's any issues with the streams, anything running different to normal, that is why, because I'm not normally the one streaming or taking part here along with Chris. The audio seems unbalanced. The audio probably is unbalanced, but it's hard to sort out. Very difficult.
Especially much like the people that the audio is belonging to.
Yeah. Well, I'd say normally, broadcast production isn't my thing. I'm normally better with the talking side, not producing it. Hence why it's probably not top notch. So I'm sorry about that, everyone, of course, and I don't do it on purpose. And, don't hate on the league, don't hate anyone for it. It's just how it is, of course. But we are starting to get under I believe very shortly, Jean Otme has finally decided to join the session. So we're going to get everyone sorted out on the grid editor, get everyone sorted out into the right positions, and then we'll be going straight into the lobby to begin the race. There's no formation lap either, I don't believe. So I believe it's straight into it. And Chris, you can have the reins of beginning us off.
Oh, thank you kindly, good sir. I can confirm that the weather is set to dry, which was how the lobby was actually going to be. Did we not have to restart the lobby? Yeah. So what are we expecting for 22 laps? Well, we know how close the times have been. That goes to show how close the talent is in this field. It's going to be very, very, very interesting as far as who's just going to find that extra little bit, who's practiced the most, who's willing to make the braver moves into the likes of Lecom. Sometimes you may find some unorthodox move, Bruxelles, even into the Fanny chicane if you're brave enough. So, common overtaking spots at the end of the Kemmel Straight for Lecom and into the chicane after Blanchimont. That's going to be your common overtaking spots. But league racing doesn't always follow the expected. So we'll see how well our gladiators do in the WOR round number 6 in the virtual Spa-Francorchamps.
Yep, so we're getting underway now. As you can see on the screen, we've got 10 seconds till the lobby goes underway. And Chris, any predictions? I'm going to say that Lucas Blakely will win. I think it's a bit of a boring one, but I think it's an easy one to say. And I won't look stupid at the end.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to look away from, isn't it? Lucas is, of the 3 rounds he's taken part in, he's been on the podium twice, and 2 of those podiums were the top step of. He is, of course, the current F1 Esports World Champion. Still a lot of support for Jarno out there, which is great to see. A lot of these guys I've seen throughout their entire league racing career. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a hard one. I think Lucas and Jarno are certainly the fan favourites, but there are certainly advantages to Lucas at this point of the time because, of course, he is starting from pole position.
Yeah, so going to this, it'll be very interesting one. I can't wait. I think this is always one of my favourite Grand Prix, but unfortunately, due to the issue with the countdown not working, we get thrown into it whenever the game wants us to, doesn't it, Chris? We don't get a timer. We don't get a warning. Nope. It's just, go.
Yeah, basically, yeah. The only time we know when the race is about to start is when it's about to. So we get no forward warning. Uh, we just have to deal with it as and when the game tells us to. So this will be when everybody's selecting their setups, making sure they start with the right tires and what have you. Often, certainly in this game, I've seen a lot of different tire choices on these restarts. In previous game cycles, vast majority of the field would go with one tire set, and you'd have the odd one or two throwing the dice for a random setup. Whereas these days, or certainly the commentaries I've done so far on F1 23, it is a very different story. But here we go, lights coming on. It is time to wind them up and let them go. A really short hold there, and we are scrimmed. That's a storming start from Otis Lawrence, but he is easily fended off from Lucas Blakely. Ismail fastly trying to get past the Aston Martin now for second position. On the way down the hill, looks like everybody has survived so far. And Otis Lawrence slots back into second. Now Lucas Blakely has the unenviable task of giving everybody slipstream behind him. So here we go then. Ismail Fast, he's got the run, he's got the Aston Martin, but he's boxed in behind the McLaren. Otis Lawrence, oh my goodness me, that's 4 wide on the way down towards the finish again. And Nicholas Longue has just nailed all of them. And Jack West, unfortunately, has gone off, facing the wrong way in the house after a storming start. But Nicholas Longue, where the hell did that come from? Soft tyres, though, so everyone around him starting on the hard. He's gone for the red Mars soft tyres and immediately took advantage of, took his tyre advantage and is running off down the road. Jana Watme, he's found Pookie swapping round just before they get down to Pond Puon. Oh, no, more trouble.
Yeah, it's Legend Rosenberg getting a bit of a punt in towards turn 12 at Puon. Had to just off the escape road of the circuit. And that's another incident. That is Philip Preschneider and Jed Norger, I believe, coming at the Fanny chicane. I think it was Philip who went really wide going into them. That's also Wilson Hughes getting himself ahead of Luke Smith up the inside. A bit like what we saw with Perez and Hamilton, but this time they get through safe and sound, and there's no penalties at all for that incident whatsoever as we now head up in towards, and that's Jack West out of the session retired on track, but he hasn't retired, and the wall is just clicked retire. And now we've got Ishmael Fassi looking for a move on Otis Lawrence. They punt each other in towards the bus stop chicane. Now Otis Lawrence on the back of Lucas Blakely, as you can see there, Nicholas Longue already up the road. 1.5 seconds of a gap as Nicholas Longue takes a 1:46.1 for the first lap of the session, the fastest lap as well of this session. There we've got people all over the road trying to get moves through. We've got Jana Watmere up the inside of Tomek Prajcic down at turn 1, and that was also Wilson Hughes up the inside of Miswan Pookie down in towards that first corner Atlas Source. So you can see now Jana Watmere on the back of Tomek again as he didn't get the best run out of turn 1, so it allowed Tomek to move back again. As now Tomek's on the back of Ishmael Fassi. Ishmael's on the back of Otis Lawrence, and they make contact in the wall. Ishmael Fassi touching the wall. Go through around the outside of Lucas Blakely. Peracic comes up the inside in towards Lake Com and gets a bit of a tap. This is hectic on lap 2 of 22.
My goodness me, everybody is fighting hard. And here comes Jana Watmere, inside line coming down towards Bruxelles to demote Tomek Peracic back down into 6th position. Both of them on soft tyres, with the 3 cars ahead of them are on hards. So you would have thought that the same tyre advantage that Nicholas Longue enjoyed should be afforded to Peracic and Jana. But because they've had to fight so hard, they haven't been able to use their tyre advantage just yet. We'll see if they're now able to carve their way through the field as the race continues. About half the field went for mediums, but it's almost an even split between mediums and softs after that point, or nearly was, with Jack West, with Jack retiring the Haas following that impact coming into Lake Com on the first lap. But Nicholas Longue has checked out, but will that strategy backfire on him later on? Starting softs in this field doesn't always pay off, but what an absolutely stormy start for him. Longue nailed to the back of Otis Lawrence. That's forcing the Aston Martin to go a bit deep coming into the chicane. But Nicholas Longue is not really a surprise, let's be honest. Now is Blakely rather going to try and move into Stavelo? No, into La Source rather. Not on this occasion. Now, I think that was probably intentional by the McLaren. He doesn't want to be leading on the way down through Eau Rouge and Raidillon. He wants to be the one to utilise the slipstream and give himself a big gap to Ismail Fassi. And there goes the McLaren. He's now jumped out from the tail of Otis Lawrence. The Aston Martin knows full well there's nothing he can do about it. And that's given them, well, it did briefly give them a gap to Ismail Fassi, but the AlphaTauri closed that down pretty quickly.
Yeah, and Jano Otmir also closing that gap down to Ishmael Fassi. Still, the gap's about 3.5 tenths of a second. It's very difficult to get through, even on soft tyres with this DRS train. So Jano's key thing is to get through in the corners, or at least get close enough on the exits of the corners to get a nice slipstream, a nice advantage on momentum down that straight. There's also Wilson Hughes there, getting very close to the back of Ika Bain now, in towards P1. Does he send it? No, he doesn't. He's not that stupid enough, of course. As we go into P1 and the double left-handers, then we have the Fanya chicane. Will be a perfect place to send a move if you've got the tyres to do so, but there's no opportunity this time for Wilson Hughes as he comes through there now, through that chicane in towards Stavalo. Is he close enough this time? No, he's not now. Back to Watmere because he's gained very close to the back of Ishmael Fassi as we come out of Stavalo in towards Curve of Paul Frere now. It's about turn 16 on this circuit now as he come through. The gap's less than a tenth. It's less than 2 tenths now as he come up towards Blanchemont. Is it Jon around the outside? I think he might go for it. No, he can't. Too far back. Can he get it in towards the bush stop chicane? Is the question. He's got the better speed. He's got the better braking because of these tyres. And he does send it up the inside of Ishmael Fassi. Ishmael practically lets him go. He knows he's got it. But now Ishmael's going for a switch back. Can he make it work? No, he can't. As they come out of the final corner of the bus stop chicane. But actually, look at Ishmael's exit. He's got a great exit. Does he send it up the inside? No, he doesn't. He decides to sit back on this occasion now. Otis, we know he's aggressive. We know he likes to get overtakes done. So will he go for a move on Blakely again? With the DRS, he's only 4 tenths back as they come through. Out of turn 2 up the hill now. Rouge and Radion and Yono Otmir sitting right behind Otis Lawrence as we come through there now. So I think any of these could take that P2. But Yano's gaining very quickly now on the back of Otis. And Otis again on Lucas Blakely. Do we see any overtakes in towards Laycom? Otis is going for it. Yano is as well. They go nearly 3 wide in towards Laycom. Yano Otmir takes P3. Otis has to stick it in behind. And Ishmael Fassi also looking to get on the back of Otis Lawrence as they head down into Bruxelles. Is he close enough this time? No, he's not. So now it is Jano Otmir in P3 on the soft tyres, of course.
Ishmael Fassi had the best ringside seat for that one. I did wonder whether Jano was going to try and banzai the inside of Lucas Blakely. He knows way better than to try a silly move like that. So now the two championship leaders are pretty much line astern. Nicolas Longuet, I think the best of his tyres have gone because that gap is not increasing any further from around about 2.3 seconds between themselves and the Ferrari. So may not be too much longer before the Frenchman brings his car in to ditch those soft tyres. Depends what he's planning to do. He might try and extend his set to go to mediums. He may choose to get rid of them and go for the hards. Only he knows. But Nicolas Longuet capitalising on his tyre advantage very, very early on. So it's difficult to know where to look because the field is all in DRS range just about. Andre Tarabukin runs the danger of losing DRS off the back of Leroy Brown down in 15th place. But at the moment, they are all still just sitting, waiting for an opportunity to try and improve their position. Still no visit to the pit stop for Nicolas Longuet. So he's going to continue along his merry way. Now Lucas Blakely has to be keeping half an eye behind, knowing full well who is lurking right behind him. How many times have Lucas Blakely and Jano Otmir crossed swords on the F1 Esports battle round? How many times have they pushed each other to the absolute limit? Jano won't get close enough on this occasion. He'll get his Mercedes very, very large in the Papaya McLaren wing mirrors, but as yet, no opportunity to make the move.
Yep, and you can see that Otis gaining very quickly on the back of Jano Otmir. Obviously, these soft tyres have an advantage, but only for around 7 or 8 laps. Once that 7 or 8 laps are done, their advantage will start to slip away. Will give an advantage to the hard tyre runners. So for now, Jano and Nicholas in a good position. You can see Lucas is already starting to gain that gap. So it was about 2.5 seconds. It's now 1.7. So that gap is starting to come down between Nicholas and Lucas. And obviously, Nicholas will have to pit earlier than Lucas Blakely, probably onto a set hards. I don't think a soft medium is that possible around here without your tyres being absolutely dead by the end. So I think it will possibly be a soft hard strategy for Nicholas unless safety cars come out. But I think probably for Nicholas, and I think for Lucas probably something like a hard medium. I don't know if it's worth stretching the hards out to get the softs on. I think maybe having the mediums might be a better bet. But obviously I'm not a racer, I'm not a strategist, so I'm just taking away from what I've seen in previous races. Now we head down in towards the bus stop chicane. Thomas Brajdic on the back of Ishmael Fassi. Now the gap's about 2.5 tenths between those. So obviously Jano made his way through. Tomek can't do anything. He can't get his way through on Ishmael and Otis, which is not good considering he's chosen these tyres to work his way through the field.
Yeah, absolutely so. And Nico's Nico's lead is disintegrating. It's now 1.6 seconds between himself and the McLaren. Really what Longuet needs is the likes of Jano and Otis to start attacking Lucas Blakely, which looks like his prayer will be answered this time. The McLaren staying to the inside line, coming out of Radion. And there goes the Mercedes. Here comes the Aston Martin. Can Otis Lawrence nail it? Oh, he was hesitant. If he'd committed, he might have been able to draw alongside Lucas Blakely. Easy for me to say. I'm not the one that's actually in the racing seat. But he just hesitated at that moment. He had the overspeed, but he opted to take probably a safer route and not try and follow Jarno Wutme through. But that is now Jarno into second position. Has he got anything left in those tyres to break away from Lucas and chase off after Nicolas Longuet? We will see. I wouldn't be surprised if Jarno Wutme doesn't have too much left in those soft tyres with the amount of battling he has had to do. And there's our first 3-second penalty of the night. It is on Leroy Brown in the 14th place Red Bull. Being chased by his teammate as is that Tarabukin in trouble? That's Andre Tarabukin. It's off. Andre Tarabukin has gone off the road. That is trouble for him. His car is coasted. He's had some kind of technical trouble. So there is victim number 2 of tonight's race.
Yep, and then we've got Prajish on the back of Ishmael. Fast, the gap's less than 2 tenths as we head down to the chicane. Is he close enough this time around? No, he's not. He actually lifts off going into there as we come now down in towards the bus stop chicane. And it is Prajish on the back of Ishmael Fassin as we head out of the bus stop chicane down towards turn 1 yet again. You can see there Jarno has got very close to the back of Nicolas Longuet. We'll go for a bit of a view to see if Jarno can get the DRS this time around. The gap's about a second, just touch and go with that 1 second gap between these two at the top. And obviously Lucas sitting 7 tenths back, so he will get DRS, but he won't have that advantage he would have done before. As Andre Tarabukin gets a penalty for speed in the pit lane and of course retires from the session after that spin down at the exit of the Fania chicane. So now we've got 18 runners. Jack West retired on lap 1. Andre retired just. And that was also Isam Puking getting through on Wilson Hughes. Wilson Hughes got dropped by a few people there as we go down in towards Lacombe. That's Luke Smith getting himself back ahead of the person who he got overtaken by. A few laps to go. So now these soft tyres, are they near the end? Well, especially for Wilson Hughes. Obviously, Luke Smith has got the mediums. They will be kicking into gear a lot quicker than the hard tyres, of course, as we come through. Now, and this is a battle for 9th and 10th place between Luke and Wilson. We've also got Ikebone on the back of Tom Parajic, very close there between those two as we come through in towards Pouon. And now, Jarno comfortably behind Nicolas Longuet. Do we see a fight for the lead, or do you think maybe these two will just keep together and just keep that DRS advantage for Jarno and just stick together, not bother fighting, not bother using more tyres, and just getting themselves to a comfortable place where they can pit onto a set of hards?
Not convinced. Because they do, if they had a gap to Lucas Blakely et al. Behind them, sure, they could afford to work together. I'm not convinced they're going to. Nicolas Longuet's tyres are absolutely mulch. His 2.3 second gap is long gone. And now he's got the entirety of the DRS train now nipping at his heels. Still no sign of a pit stop from our lead runners. Is anybody going to dive into the pits to try and undercut? Doesn't look like it. The entire field continuing along their merry way. That's Leroy Brown that's fallen down through the field. And
pits.
Why? Because he has come into the pits on a mediums. That makes me he's retiring. So that's his retirement number 3 after just 7 laps.
Yeah, big shame there for Leroy Brown. Had a decent start, but unfortunately got that penalty. I think that's at the point where you're like, well, with everyone P1 to P15 in a train, a 3-second penalty will really harm you, especially if safety cars and all that comes into the play later in the race. So I think Leroy's like, yeah, I'm not going to bother. That is my day done and dusted for now. As now we've got Luke Smith on the back of Isam Puki going in towards Lacombe. The gap was about a 10th of a second, so it must have been Luke right behind with that DRS advantage, of course, and also that seems a pace advantage so far from Luke Smith. Now as we come through in towards the downhill chicane, downhill braking zone section, and it is Luke sitting 3 tenths back from Puki. Obviously, at the moment, we've only got 2 medium runners. That is the 2 Alpines of Philippe and Luke. Everyone else is on hards, apart from Nicholas, Jarno, Tomek, and Wilson, all on the soft compounds tyres. Well, for people who were actually running the race anyway, as I believe it was Leroy on the mediums, Andre was on some mediums, and Jack was on a set of mediums as well. Obviously, those 3 have retired after incidents. And misfortunes in their races themselves. Now, Lucas, very close to the back of Jarno. So now, as these soft tyres starting to wear away, you can see there Lucas, the gap's about for what, 1.6 tenths of a second now as we come through in towards this left-hander at Blanchimont. Very close between these two now. Does Lucas send it into the chicane? Come on, Lucas, give us a dive bomb. And he doesn't. He sits back. Went for it. Bit of a dummy to Jarno. just sits back for now, not too bothered. You can see Yano in a little bit deep. We'll give Lucas a very nice exit, of course, and that was Parajic into the pit lane. So his soft tyres are done and dusty. He will be onto a setup, I believe, hards, but he might go for mediums. I'm not quite sure now as he comes through. And this is a battle there between these top 3 or top 4 or 5 of them. Any of these 5 could take any position going in towards Lacom. Chris, do you think we'll see a move position in towards turn 5 at Lacom?
Well, Yano actually backed out of the throttle on the last lap at this point, but he wasn't this close. And there he goes. He's already positioning himself on the Ferrari. And Lucas is going to be too far back to try and follow him through. Now race lead in the hands of the mighty Mercedes. Oh, this still could go any which way. I still think that Yano and Nico have left this too long. Their tyres have absolutely had it. Lucas isn't even pushing that hard, and he is maintaining that gap, or maintaining the pressure, I should say, on Nico Longe at this point. In my opinion, they should have come in by now. Though that Ferrari does not look happy coming through Pro-On either. Watching on board with from Lucas Blakely as Philippe Preschneider in the Alpine is next on the penalty board. Also, I mean, if somebody makes a mistake, there's quite a lot of people that is going to make that mistake feel that much worse. So how is this going to play out? As Yannick Schmidt didn't want to be left out of the penalty score either, and he's just added 3 seconds onto his time, down in 14th in the Williams. Again, Lucas Blakely just keeping his car in the mirrors of his opponent directly ahead. I would think surely now that our top 2 at least are going to come in. Does Yano go into the pits? No, but Nico does. Nico's had enough of these starting tyres. Yano Watmere feels there's still life to give in them. Now Lucas Blakely has got to push a bit to close into DRS range in time before they get up to the top of the Eau Rouge Raidillon complex.
Yep, the corner, the gap between those 2 just under a second as we come through. We'll go on board with Otis so we can see if Lucas Blakely's rear wing opens up as we come through. The gap is just over a second. I'm not sure where the detection zone is as we come up in there. Look at Otis's launch. Great launch there. Otis launch with the DRS, gets himself ahead of Lucas. And does Ishmael Fassi, does Cabana have a move? I think he might do. But Lucas Blakely there, closing in, still trying to go around the outside of Ishmael Fassi. They make contact. Lucas takes avoiding action off the track. Does he keep himself ahead? He does a bit, but Ishmael there having to just back out now as he come down. Lucas letting him through. And Cabana saying, well, I'll go through as well as we head down in towards Brussels. And I think it'll be close. And they're still making a bit of contact. So we come through side by side into no name between Lucas and Ishmael. And I think Ishmael's just about got it done. Yes, he has. But the gap now to Otis is 1.4 seconds. So they've really ruined that by fighting so hard. They've lost DRS. This could be painful for the rest of their races. And now you'll have the likes of Ika and his fan all ganging up on Ishmael now, as Otis and Yano have got clean air to run away.
Yeah, but this is now advantage Otis Lawrence because he's got plenty of life left on his tyres and he can very easily attack Yano without any thought of challenge from behind. Is he going to try and do so before they even get through Blanchimont? Look at the line that Yano is taking. He's nailed himself on that inside line. He does not feel that he doesn't feel confident enough that the Aston's just going to mind his own business. And Otis had to get out of the throttle. He's having to get out of the throttle. Still holding that inside line is Yano Watmere. Surely he's into the pits this time, and he does. Where does that put him in relation to Nicolas Longe? Now, Longe is down in 16th position, fresh set of mediums on his car. Now, also coming in is Ika Baena on hard tyres. That surely is damage for him. Now, Longe is actually right behind his teammate, Tomek Parajic, who's also on a fresh set of mediums. So interesting that the undercut seems to be the way forward here. So is that going to work out between Longe and Yano? Answers on a postcard. No, it doesn't, by quite some distance as well. So Yano is nowhere near within DRS range of the back of his former quarry.
Yep, now as he comes through in towards Lacon with Otis, Ishwan and Lucas fighting for this top 3 position. With Istvan Pukki sitting just 7 tenths behind, so a little bit further back from this battle, but he is in conjunction for that DRS as Declan Barrett gets a 3-second time penalty. Currently sitting in the top 10, but he's got a pit, so he will drop outside that top 10. Not the best, I'd say, I think this is a debut race for Declan Barrett. If you don't know who Declan is, he is, I believe, Smokey, who used to race on the Xbox platform, has moved over to PC now, and obviously having a great start. He's been in PSG F1, he's been in WRT1, he's getting himself right to the top of the grid, like what we saw with Otis Lawrence, who is now one of the quickest drivers in esports. about a year ago, he was a quick player on Xbox. Now he's one of the world's best players. So sometimes that switch from Xbox to PC really, really helps, and also the switch from PS to PC as well. As we now head up, this is now Ishmael Fassi looking to get himself closer to Otis Lawrence. The gap's about 6.5 tenths of a second. Lucas Blakely also gaining, and obviously, I think he went off track at Laycom. I think he did let Ishmael back through, but obviously that also allowed Ika to go for a move, so it kind of made it a bit of a mess going down into that corner. Anyway, you can see there Lucas just touching the back of Ishmael as we come out of that final corner, and that is Jed Norgrove into the pit lane off of his set of hard tyres, so we'll probably go into some medium. Same for Skither and Legend Rosenberg, all now going for the undercuts, and I believe Declan and Bench, Philip and Luke ahead. Obviously, Philip and Luke will most likely have to go into a set of... Oh, they might go for a set of softs, actually. If they can leave it in an extra couple of laps, that could help them, but their tyres will be quite deadly at the end, so yeah, I think it might be a medium soft for the Alpines.
Could well be. I'm keeping an eye on the Ferrari pair at the moment, as Ismail Fassi has just used the DRS to leave the Aston Martin of Otis Lawrence for dead. Usual overtaking manoeuvre into Laycom, but Otis Lawrence not letting that one go lightly and nails himself to the back of the AlphaTauri's rear wing, as Paracic and Longa not done. I thought they were going to work together here. Well, no, they're having their own race, as they too have made the same DRS overtake at the same point, unless they're just going to leapfrog each other to try and keep that gap growing. It's now 3 seconds back to Jarno Opmeer, who's got Ika Baena on his tail, so Jarno can't just concentrate on the gap ahead to see how hard the Dutchman pushes to try and close in on the Ferraris ahead of him. Up front, Fassi leads Lawrence, leads Blakely, leads Pookie at the moment. Bit of a gap back to Luke Smith, who's just holding on. Well, actually, no, he's just fallen outside of DRS range indeed to the 4 ahead of him. He may not be too worried about that if he is going to pit fairly soon. Mediums to hard would not be the ideal way, so you would surely want to try and stretch out the mediums to go on to a set of softs, but we'll see if that is realistically a viable option. As in comes Ismail Fassi from the race lead, so half the race done on those hards. I'd have thought they'd have gone longer than that, but either way, he is opting to come in for, I'm guessing, a set of medium tyres, along with Declan Barrett. So two more hard starters have decided now is the time to ditch their white wall tyres for a set of the mediums.
Yep, well, this could be very good for Ishmael Fassi, because obviously we know on this game the undercut works. As now we have Lucas Blakely looking to get himself ahead of Otis Lawrence for that P1 position. Obviously, it's not net P1, because at the moment that is Tomek Paracic, who's pitted along with Nicholas Longa. These haven't, all the way down to 6th position, so yeah, very nice there from Lucas to get himself ahead with that DRS, of course, and these two are going to be working together now just to pull themselves along as Nicholas Longa gets thrown his teammate down in towards Laycom, and they're doing the same thing, just pulling each other along, trying to keep that gap quite large to Jarno. Their gap's about 2.9 seconds, because Jarno's actually got Ika Baena breathing down his neck as they went into Laycom. So at the moment, very good for the Ferraris just to keep themselves ahead of Jarno Opmeer. And obviously, as I was saying, Ishmael Fassi going to have a great job, probably, with the fact he's got an undercut. Now, the undercut we know works well, especially on this track, especially when he's against Lucas, Otis, and Isfan. They'll probably drop back behind Ishmael because of Ishmael obviously having the lap to warm up his tyres. So, could be interesting between those lot. But then we know you got the point of the medium tyres for Lucas and Otis being a little bit better. But then you could say, well, there's 9 laps to go. Why not wait an extra 2 laps and go to a set of softs? So there's many different things these guys could do. And the strategy in this game plays much more of a key part into a race. There's a lot more with strategy. Before it was hard medium, that was it. Now we've got soft making a play in the race. We've got people going for longer on the hards, some people going shorter on the hards. So I think at the moment, anyone could make it work as Lucas and Otis enter the pit lane. We'll see what times they go on to. As now, the net leader is Nicholas Longa and Tomek in second, and Jarno Opmeer net third.
Isfan Pookie and Luke Smith opting to keep their tyres going, as up into third currently Nicholas Longa, then Paracic right behind. And now Jarno Opmeer is trying to push his closer gap down to under 2 seconds now. It was threatening to be over 3 for a period of time. Soft tyres for Preschneider. So the Alpine trying something a bit different on his pit stop. We'll see if that pays off for him. That seems a bit of a long way to go on a long way to go, assuming he has anything left with him. They probably can do it, but I don't think they'll have an awful lot of life left, as Jed Norgrove being somewhat left behind, being leapfrogged by several cars. Again, same Deal as always, the DRS very, very strong along the Camel Straight. Then right behind that three-way block of Hughes, Fassi and Norgrove is Blakely, Schmidt and Lawrence. So Yannick Schmidt is his undercut. His tyres are 4 laps older than those around him, but that's put him right in that battle for now. But he is carrying that penalty, so that is not likely to. He's actually just bowed out of it. Otis Lawrence has actually gone on the inside line of the Williams. I think Yannick has just gone, yeah, I'm not in this. I'm not in this fight. On you go. So that's going to allow Otis Lawrence to get right back on the tail of Lucas Blakely. How is that going to play out for the rest of the race? We will see.
You know what, so
there's still plenty of questions that need answering.
Yep. Jarno's into the 1 second gap now, so he's gained, well, what, 3 seconds in 3 laps? Great job there from Jarno. Obviously got 2 lap younger tyres than the 2 Ferraris, so he's going to be great on pace. And the question is, now he's in this train, he's got to get himself through. Yes, he's quick in the clean air, but when it comes to DRS trains, it's very difficult to make moves because everyone's got that advantage. It doesn't become an advantage because everyone's just going the same speed with that DRS open. So Jarno's got a lot of work to do to get himself ahead of the 2 Ferraris who now take the lead of the race. So it's a Ferrari 1-2 with Nicholas and Tomasz Prajic at the moment, with Jarno in 3rd and Ika Buena sitting right behind in 4th. But you've got the likes of Ismail Fassi, Lucas Blakely, Otis Lawrence all gaining up respectively with their newer tyres. As there we are, Ismail Fassi getting ahead of Wilson Hughes, and Lucas Blakely should be let by from Wilson Hughes down towards Lacombe. But Lucas is going to get the 2 of them in towards Lacombe. Lucas Blakely into the top 5 ahead of Ismail Fassi, who pitted 1 lap earlier. And this has worked heavily now for Lucas Blakely. We've got Jed Norgrove sitting right behind the McLaren, so it's a McLaren AlphaTauri there between P5 and P8. And now it's Otis Lawrence's turn to try and get himself ahead of Jed and Wilson, who at the moment are going to be hopefully working with their teammates to keep Otis behind, because we know when Otis is pushing, he is very quick and he's very aggressive.
God, you want to see the battle for 11th? That is lively, with 3 cars on the soft tyres, on fresh soft tyres. There's battling going on everywhere. As now Otis Lawrence and Jed Norgrove swap round down in the Fanny chicane. You don't often see
Otis
down there.
Sent it in Pouon. He went up the inside of Pouon corner. That was a... Well, Otis showed he's a very aggressive driver. Reminds me a bit of Max Verstappen, indeed. As we now come through, he's got to get himself ahead of Wilson Hughes. Should be another ballsy move here from Otis Lawrence. Going to be looking for an inside line. Yes, he does up beyond Shimon. This might not end well. They go through. And Otis pushes himself past Wilson Hughes. But Wilson has got the line to try and send it. No, he sits back. So Otis there. And moving to Pouon, and moving to Blanc Shimon. We don't want to see where he's going to send a move next. As we come out of the bus stop chicane, heading back down towards turn 1 it is. Now, still... Nicholas and Tomasz leading with Jarno, crucially, only 2/10 back. So this could be interesting up towards Lacombe. But obviously with the 2 Ferraris working together, this could be very interesting with defence.
Now, Tomasz Prajic has next to no ear, pretty much no ERS to utilise. So he's going to be pretty much sitting duck here. Just as the DRS opens, Jarno now commits. Ika Buena is too far back to play a part in this particular battle. Tomasz has no way to try and defend the tail of his teammate from the charge of the Dutchman. Bear in mind, Jarno was at. Oh dear, Lucas Blakely. So not only was he the one that caused the, part of at least the one that caused the lobby restart, he's now got himself a 3-second penalty and lost the position to Ismail Fassi. So I was keeping an eye on the battle for the battle for second rather. Well, when that happens, quite how that happened, I don't know. But
well, that's not good.
You know that's very much going to rule Lucas Blakely out of it unless he feels the need to appeal that particular penalty. 10 track limit penalties tend to stand unless extenuating circumstances are allowed to be considered. Which now that's between Lucas and the stewards. There was certainly something going on between Lucas and Ismail Fassi, and not for the first time in this race either. They are pushing hard to try and close down that 2-second gap to the top 4. So if they close that gap down, the lead battle will, instead of just being the top 4, will go right the way down to 9th.
Yeah, that is not good at all for Lucas. Obviously, with this title charge, it will put Jarno Opmeer heavily into the lead of the championship as we head down now in towards turn 1. Luke Smith does take the fastest lap, and Yannick Schmidt gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That should be probably Yannick Schmidt's race over, but so far he hasn't retired, so he might be going back out now. He retires. So with 16 runners left, and Lucas now looking for a move on Ismail Fassi there. Looking for a move up Radion. as he comes up the inside as he enters the Kemmel Straits. It is the DRS for Lucas, no DRS for Ishmael. And Lucas glides past Jarno Uppmeer, takes the lead of the race. We missed that one. So now Jarno Uppmeer leads here in Belgium, looking to make himself a statement drive. After driving down from, remember, P9, he's now leading the race ahead of Nicolas Longuet. So this is what's happening for Jarno Uppmeer, and that pace has came into hand as he will now take the championship lead by, at the moment, about 15 points, as Lucas has got his penalty that will drop him down.
Very, very true. Yeah, that was a bit of a late move from Jarno into Lecom, but it was still the DRS-enabled move that we've come to expect at that point. The Mercedes just leaving the Frenchman with no option. But Nico Longuet does have about 90% in the battery. It's around about 70 for Jarno. So there is a bit of an ERS advantage as far as the Ferrari is concerned, but that's all well and good if you can hang on to the back of the person you're chasing. We will see. That's exactly what Nico's doing at the moment. We're coming into the final 5 laps. Here comes Longuet. Is he going to try and make a move? No, he backs out of. It's very, very dangerous to be making a move. Oh, Ika Baena, hello. Where have you come from? And that brought Lucas Blakely into the picture. So Tomek Paragic could lose 2 here. Here comes Blakely on the inside of the source. He's got Paragic. He's going to try and get Baena. He wants a shot at the top 2. That's Blakely up into 3rd.
There we go, Otis Lawrence looking from Yvonne Ishmael fast. This could go up towards Arouge and Radion, but Otis tucks in behind now as they come up the hill. In towards Radion now, as Otis got the straight line speed he has, but now we have a battle up ahead. This is Jarno Uppmeer being overtaken by Nicolas Longuet. Now does Lucas Blakely have an opportunity to get himself still ahead of Eco as we go through a bit of contact between the two. Parash is sitting right behind now as we have a move between Wilson and Jed, and there is all of these people fighting now. This isn't good for Jarno because look who's behind. It's Lucas Blakely, and then a little bit further behind is Otis Lawrence, who needs to get himself ahead of Tomek and Ika, who are just sitting up the road a little bit ahead. Otis looked for a move on Ishmael, got himself ahead. Now he needs to get himself ahead of the Ferrari. Will be defending like hell as we come through. And look at that now, Otis right behind, less than a tenth as they went through, no name. And becoming to Pooh on there, the gap's just over a tenth of a second. And Lucas looking to gain on the back of Jarno Uppmeer. Does he send it in towards the chicane? Surely not as we come through. Lucas Blakely, no, he backs off, so he doesn't send it that early. And Otis Lawrence looking for a move around the outside at the Fania chicane. That doesn't work. As we now come through in towards Stavalo. Does he send it up the inside? No, he sits back for now. So Otis, you can see there, keen to get through. He's got that Max Verstappen energy. Just wanted to send a move when he can. And he could send it out to Paul Frez. They come through now. And he hasn't got it this time. As we now come through, he's got the inside line. And you can see there, Tomek pacing the car very well. And now, Lucas, could he send a move on Jarno Uppmeer? As we come down in towards the bus stop chicane. He does send it up the inside, in towards the final couple of corners. It's Lucas with the outside line, Jarno with the inside, and now a switchback possibly from Lucas Blake as he head back down to turn 1.
He tried it. I think it was trying to wrong for Jarno for an opportunity to get ahead of him into La Source. Didn't pay off this time. Now Jarno is going to have DRS off the back of Nico Longuet, who I think is going to be mugged by two champions right behind him. We will see. Eau Rouge, Radion, now DRS. Who is going to come out the victor here? I don't think it's going to be the Scarlet Ferrari. But interestingly, Blakely gets out of the slipstream of Jarno. So Jarno is going to leapfrog Nico. And Lucas Blakely for now slots in right behind. Oh, go on.
Contact there between Otis and Tomasz in towards Lake Calm. Sorry to cut you off there, Chris. But yeah, they made a bit of contact. And Tomasz got pushed a little bit deep by Otis, I believe.
Well, Tomasz's tyres are probably wearing out. They're 10 laps old. They're older than everybody else. And I would think that the same problem is going to befall Nico Longuet. His tyres are several laps older than everybody else. So essentially, it's actually Lucas Blakely that has the tyre advantage. But with that penalty, that is going to all be for naught as Fassi nearly nails the back of the Haas of Ika Baena, coming down to the family chicane again. Oh, this is what we love about these top drivers, all battling. It's all action right the way to the flag.
Yep, and then that was Otis on the back of still that Scarlet Ferrari. Trying to get himself ahead. He just can't do anything to get ahead of Prajic. He's got to send it. Surely round the outside. No, has to back off. You have to send it to the chicane. Surely, otherwise he's going to be under heavy compromisation now. From this gap, it'll just start to grow and grow. He's got the inside line. Does Otis send it? Yes, he does. Sends it straight down towards the bus stop chicane. Gets himself ahead of Tom Prajic now. Looking back at the top. It is all these guys within 3 or 4 tenths of a second of each other. Lucas moving to the outside line there. Can he make a move? No, he can't. And now you can see Ishmael Fassi also gaining on to the back of this pack. Ika has just been lying there. He's not really done much. He's just been there. It's a bit of a moving chicane because of his tyres being older than the others. Now, as we come up in towards Eau Rouge, it's Lucas Blakely's turn to try and get himself ahead, possibly, of Nicolas Longuet. He needs to make the move if he wants to be challenging Jarno. As we come up now, out of Eau Rouge and Radion, it is the DRS, all for everyone apart from Jarno Opmeer. Nothing to work, but Nicolas takes the lead.
Oh!
And that was a close one. That was very close. There's also Prajic's looking to get a move. Oh, no, Otis can't make it work. No, he can't. So now we need to see what Lucas can do. He's on the back of Jarno. Remember, this is key for Lucas. If he can get ahead of Jarno, he's got a good chance because of obviously Nicholas's tyres being 4 laps older than Lucas's.
I thought Lucas was going to be in the back of Jarno then. I did not think he was going to slow that down. That somehow, with that tyre advantage, if nothing else, managed to slow down the McLaren before embedding itself in the diffuser of the Mercedes. 2.5 to go. It is Ferrari from Mercedes, from McLaren, from Haas, from AlphaTauri, and also from Aston. Tomo Paragic is hanging on barely to DRS, but his tyres are done. He's got the soft shot cars of Luke Smith and Ethan Pookie right behind him. I don't think it's going to be enough time for them to play their part in the top battle, but you've got, I'll say that, Luke Smith has just nailed Tomo Paragic through on the outside line of Blanchimont. Nice.
Otis Lawrence. Oh, bit of contact with Ishmael Lanika. Otis trying to make a move around the outside. And I think it caught Ishmael a bit off guard and went into the back of the Haas. As we come through now, Otis, has he got the line in towards turn 1? No, he's not. We see further up, Jarno Opmeer. And that's Lucas Blakely up the inside. Down at turn 1, trying to get himself ahead of the Mercedes. Now they go side by side, heading through turn 2. They'll be going up the hill side by side. This could be either joys for Lucas or Jarno. Could end badly and they go through. They'd be sensible to back off now. It is the 3 of them, Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren. As we come down the Kemmel Straight, Jarno takes the lead. And that is Nicholas down to P3. Can Lucas take P1 in towards the Lake? No, they don't. So Jarno keeps the lead of the race as we come through. And obviously Lucas having the penalty, but he would still love to take a win on track now as they head down into Bruxelles. Is it time for Lucas? No, it's not. He has to stick back for now.
My goodness me, penalty or not, Blakely is giving it everything he's got. And the man that is accepting and deflecting the challenge is Jarno Opmeer, holding on to the lead with everything he has got. You can't say this is an easy battle. Yeah, Lucas himself saying that the battles he is now involved in this game are much more difficult than they were in previous games. So this isn't just a strategic battle. This is just all-out brawl. And this is exactly what we love to see. Penultimate lap now. Mercedes from McLaren from Ferrari. Does Nico Longuet have anything left? He still has a fair amount of ERS left. But will that make up for the lack of life in his tyres? Only time will tell. Lucas Nini pushing the Mercedes along. Oh, here comes Longuet. Oh, he's going to try and get the McLaren in. And then side by side with the Mercedes coming into the chicane. Oh, my goodness. This thing is horribly messy. Oh, no. Impact with Fassi. And somehow Ika Bayano has ghosted through Ismail Fassi. Oh, don't look away yet, ladies and gentlemen. Final lap. It's all on this.
And Jarno goes a bit deep now. Lucas just trying to stay behind to get the DRS. They're all playing the DRS chicken game as he come through. Heading back up the hill at Rouge and Radion. The final lap, the final opportunity for Lucas Blakely, probably to get himself ahead of Jarno Opmeer as we come through with the DRS. It's the outside line for Lucas. It's Nicolas Longuet trying to get through on the 2 of them as we head down in towards Lake Comet. It's Nicolas Longuet, but Lucas Blakely just about gets it. He goes off track nearly, and it's Nico around the outside. Jarno Opmeer up the inside of Lucas. This is mental. And then we've also got Ika Bayana in the battle. What is this? This is absolute mental stuff from these drivers on the last lap of the race.
Yeah, Lucas had to give up on it. Now Otis Lawrence has just nailed Ika Bayana, who was slightly wrong-footed with the incredible elbows action from Jarno Opmeer and Lucas Blakely. But what a brilliantly timed attack from Nico Longuet. Oh, my goodness.
It's 3 of them out.
Oh, no, Bayano and Fassi. Oh, off into the wall. At the death of the race.
What a battle there. And that is them out of the points. And now we come through towards Blanchimont for the final time. It is Nicholas versus Jarno Opmeer now. And also Lucas Blakely sitting right behind. Obviously, he's got his penalty, so we'll drop down as we come through in towards the final few corners. And Nicholas Longay, what a drive. We thought he's out of it. He's got older tyres. He's done for. But as we come through, that's Lucas Blakely trying to send it, but Nicholas Longay will come through to win the Belgian Grand Prix. I think Jarno just made it. Yes, he has. And Otis gets the podium as Lucas Blakely drops down. And Jarno now will take the lead of the championship coming out of this race. What a final lap. Wow. That was absolutely amazing. Not the cleanest, but it was absolutely amazing racing. And despite the 3-second penalty, despite all the battling, Lucas takes P5.
Driver of the day, Jarno, I mean, why not?
I need to take a breather. I can't breathe.
Yeah, we need to sit down and rest after that. That was all kinds of mental. Oh man, I've got nothing else to add to that. I'm lost for words on that. Well, the French flag indeed being hoisted aloft for Nicholas Longay. He just nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Utilized that little bit of ERS energy advantage he had. He had about 10% left by the time they came through the chicane. Both Jarno and Lucas were on single digits. My goodness me.
What an ending.
What an ending indeed.
And now we look for the classification. It is Nicholas Longay that takes the victory over Jarno Opmeer and Otis Lawrence in the top three. Wilson Hughes fourth. Fourth? Where did Wilson Hughes come from? And then we have Lucas in fifth, Isvan in sixth, Jed in seventh, Tomek in eighth, Luke in ninth, and the top 10 is Ben Sabakuni. Then we have Philip, Declan, Legend, Skither, and then we have Ika, Ishmael, Yannick, Leroy, Andre, and Jack all out the race. But luckily, we've got an interview. We've got Nicholas Longay. We'll drag him up very shortly. Let's just change to our interview screen, and we'll bring Nicholas up into the chat. Nicholas, welcome in.
Hey, guys.
So that was a hectic race, wasn't it? Especially at the end. So explain, how did those final few laps go?
Yes, those last few laps were pretty hectic. I mean, I knew straight off the bat that I had a way faster car on the straight line from what I noticed during the race, and I just knew that it obviously came down to the last lap on the long straight. And I just had to make sure that I saved as much ERS as possible. And I even made sure that I saved even enough for the back straight in sector 3 as well, because I know that's also a very common overtaking spot. But yeah, the last few laps were just purely managing the tires and the ERS just for the last lap, because that's where it all counts, obviously.
Yeah, and obviously he went for the undercut. It could have not worked out, but it did luckily. With all the battling behind, I think the whole tyre management thing went out the window. I think everyone was just battling with that DRS then in towards Les Combes. But still, great race. And qualifying, was it 2/10 off of Lucas, because you had an invalidation, didn't you, on the final lap?
Yeah, I mean, the lap didn't start off too well, but as the lap was progressing, I saw that I was improving, and I just tried to make up a little bit too much time in the Pief-Puff, the chicane after Puan, and I just quite a little bit went off the track there, so it was unfortunate. The lap would have been enough for P2 close to Lucas, but Lucas did a very good lap in the end. But all you need in Spa is a top 5 start, because as you guys saw on the first lap, I overtook all 3 guys ahead. So the qualifying wasn't my main focus, and I really just focused on the race even during my preparation for this race.
Yeah, and anything from you, Chris, quickly?
Bonjour, Nico.
Hello.
It's been a long time since I've had a chance to chat.
It has, yes.
Chromatic, as I remember you back in the
day. The one and only.
I don't think I have forgiven you for conning me into a Rocket League lobby I was not ready for. I remember that.
Yeah, I do remember.
Oh, Nick, my goodness me. I'm still recovering from that. I am actually, at the point you committed, you knew you were 3 wide. You knew you were at a slight tyre disadvantage.
Yeah.
Did it all come down to just that having that extra ERS and just having a slightly heavier right foot? Surely you must have clenched and held on, or was it all calculated?
Well, it was semi-calculated. I don't know if you saw, but I got hit on the penultimate lap on the last chicane, so I lost quite a bit of gap to the 2 in front. And for a moment, I was like, "Wow!" Like I might not actually catch them on the straights, but I think Jarno and Lucas were trying to both play like games on each other, and that helped me get closer. And I just had a way faster run up Eau Rouge, and the double slipstream just really helped me go 3 wide. And when we went braking for the Les Combes chicane, I saw Lucas go very deep, and I was like, oh my god, if he makes this corner, he will win the race. But thankfully, he didn't make the corner, and I managed to keep my car ahead.
I actually mentioned when you were in the PSDR race and you raced the earlier, I still have a slight soft spot. We commentators do remain as impartial as we can, but we'd all be liars if we said there weren't a few people that we still secretly cheer on. You still have my vote, Nico.
Thank you so much.
I've had the pleasure of seeing you through your league racing ascendancy from way back before F1.
5 years ago.
Yeah, all that time ago.
Yeah.
It's great to see that you've still got that fire, you've still got that spirit, and still have the ability to hang with the best. Great job, well done.
Thank you so much. And also, congratulations to Jarno, because I think Jarno didn't have almost any practice at all. He was in Spa today, and I think he just barely made it at home in time for the race. And somehow, he still, as I said, predicted before the race start, he will finish on the podium, and he did. So I was surprised by his pace. Honestly, it was very good to have someone to work with in the second stint with our tire disadvantage.
Yeah, well, thank you, Nico, for joining us, and we hope to see you again next time. So have a good evening and a good week.
Thank you, guys. Have a good evening as well.
You too. Bye.
Ciao.
Right, so there we are. There's a nice chat with Nico. We're going to pop ourselves back onto the camera screen. I don't think for now we have anyone that is going to be joining us. And quick, I need to hide. I nearly showed the chat. That's not good, the Discord. But what a great finale that was. I don't think we have anyone else that will be joining us this evening. But still, that was absolutely mental. There's words I want to say about it, but I can't because I'll get myself in trouble. But still, it was great. It was absolutely amazing as we came through to the final part of that race. Chris, is there anyone that, obviously, you showed your love for Nico, anyone else that you think deserved that driver of the day?
Exactly as Nico said, Jarno, yes, he always has the expectation to do well, but you've got to hand it to him. He's been at Spa all weekend, got home just in time with minimal practice and put on a performance like that. Absolutely stormy stuff. But also, he look just behind you. Got Wilson Hughes, Otis Lawrence gave it everything he had. There's a number of drivers that really, really did well. And there were plenty of battles going on that we didn't have a chance to talk about for, maybe wooden spoon avoidance, but there were 4 or 5 cars arguing for 11th as well, for those arguing for the top spots. But well done to everybody that survived, let alone put on such a great performance.
Well, my voice didn't nearly survive on that final lap. I have a very bad throat now, so I'll need to rest before tomorrow because I'm back tomorrow for WR Tier 2, so obviously make sure to tune in for that. So that'll be another hectic one because we are at Belgium as well for every other tier in WR. So, well, I'm gonna prepare myself for another great evening of racing. But Chris, it was nice to be here in Tier 1. It was nice to be alongside you as well for the first time in a very long time. So that was nice to see. And we've got no one else. We'll just double check. No one else in the interview waiting room. So we will wrap it all up here. But thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It's been nice to see everyone in the chat. Sorry about the lobby. The stream issues. Everything needs to be sorted out the bit rate and that. I'll try and get it ready for next time. So sorry about that. But yeah, it is what it is. And Chris, thanks for being alongside me tonight. It was a great one. And yeah, we'll be back. Well, Dan and Ryan will be back next week. Anything from you quickly before we go?
It was a great pleasure to be alongside you again, Mr. Ritchie. Thank you very much to those that have been with us throughout the stream, either live or post-event. Great pleasure to have you on board. It's always such a great pleasure to see the very best putting on a show like that.
Yeah, amazing. And that I'm going to make sure that goes in. I'm going to put that on TikTok because that was amazing. And I hope that WOR put it on YouTube as a short because it was a great final segment on that last few laps. So thank you everyone for joining. We'll be back next week. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. And I believe we got the other teas on Wednesdays or something like that for PS/Xbox. But then we got PC tomorrow, Monday. So make sure to tune in for them streams, 7 to 8 p.m. as usual. And we'll be back then. So goodbye everyone and have a good evening.